Lost in an endless ocean of gaming news every week, it's a Slice of Gaming podcast. I am your host, Moonlight150, and this is a Slice of Game podcast for February 23rd, 2024. And we'd like to thank you for giving a slice of your time to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Pretty busy week this week. FromSoft finally decided to not blue ball all the Elden Ring fans anymore, and Nintendo decided to give us a little morsel of food, but I think we're all pretty starving still after that. So we're going to go through all of it as well as talk about some reviews, because we're now going to go over some reviews for some topics of the week, because we got some pretty big games both coming up and have already come out for the week. Thank goodness for Friday. Anyway, so to go through all of that with me, we have ready to brandish the Elden Ring once more, it's Wolf.
I'm always ready to brandish my ring.
Because of how late we record this podcast, there's no rest for the fusion.
Happy to be here tonight, even though it is gonna be late by the time we finish, like always.
Another 3-hour podcast. Pandora's latest Vault Hunter, it's Dark.
How's it going?
And he's the first member of the DK crew, it's Beefhammer.
Oh god. Yeah. Hello everyone.
Fucked.
That is right.
You know, your intro is the one I spent the longest like trying to figure out. Like, I ran out of news to reference, and then I saw what you've been playing. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners, you're gonna have to hear a really good rant about why DK64 is actually good.
I look forward to it.
Hey, you look forward to it.
Even that's not a fucking hill I could stand on, Beef.
Listen, I didn't expect to be here.
We just dragged you out of the bathroom is what we did.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so moving on to all the news for this week, that we're going to move to Wolf.
Yes. Did you give the where you can find the podcast?
Oh,
No,
no.
he didn't.
How did I skip that? I was too excited. I was too
So
excited for the
embarrassing.
intros. Yeah. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Radio Public, and Audible. And be sure to follow us on A Slice of Gaming on Twitter /X. And also check out our side shows like A Slice of Anime, because it's back. It's back after a 2-week hiatus. Now we can move on to the news with Wolf.
Yeah, now we can move on to the news. God, embarrassing, Moon. What happened to you?
I
You were
fell off.
losing or it fell off. Just like how FromSoft hasn't fallen off. Nah, that didn't work. Yeah, we got Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree finally revealed. We got the trailer. Obviously, we knew this was happening eventually, and now we actually got the trailer, the release date. And Beef hasn't watched the trailer yet, so he's gonna watch the trailer right now while I go over all the details.
I was gonna say I should pull it up, right? Yeah, let me get that pulled up. Yeah. So for context, I'm not gonna say a bigger FromSoft fan than Wolf, but we're probably in the same tier, especially compared to others. But for some reason, I'm in the Souls-like fatigue mood, so I just haven't watched it yet. So I'll pull it up.
All right, so you're gonna watch that, and maybe while you watch that, you can give your immediate impressions. But I guess while you're watching, I'll ask everyone else what they thought of the trailer. Fusion, you're the Elden Ring. The other Elden. Well, you played it. What do you
Wow.
think?
I couldn't tell if you were gonna call me a hater or an Elden Ring lover. I love that video
you
game.
played
Just to
it.
put it out there. I
Okay,
love
okay,
Elden
good.
Ring, so let's
what
put
I
that
wanna
out there on the map. Just because it wasn't my game of the year that year doesn't mean I hated it or something.
You didn't
Yeah,
love it.
I mean, yeah, I'm definitely in the ballpark of people who are like, this is the greatest game of all time. I don't love it that much, so I'll give you credit there, where I'm not on that level of
Oh
Elden
yeah,
Ring
that's
love yet.
totally fair.
But I will say, it's a game that I think I like more the longer I've sat away from it. Like it has a lasting impact that for some reason, like I think about that game very often when I usually, for some reason, like more than when I was playing it. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, this DLC trailer was sick. I mean, there was nothing. I know people get really excited for FromSoft trailers, and I understand why, but for me, they're always just like not confusing, but they never give enough for me in a trailer where I'm like, oh, I need to, because I don't know the lore. Like, I'm not like you guys where I'm like know every bit of lore to Elden Ring. So when the trailer comes out and shows all those little lore parts, like for me, it just doesn't hit as well. But I'm still like super excited for this DLC.
Yeah,
And this will be my first FromSoft DLC experience, which I've heard they
now
only
I'm
nailed
very excited
every
for that.
expansion ever.
So my viewpoint on this as a massive FromSoft fan is they make the best DLCs in all of gaming, and this kind of just showed to me it's like yet again we're gonna get another absolute banger. I mean, we're gonna talk all about the details later, but like the way that they kind of hyped up just the size of the map being around the size of Limgrave, clearly gonna be about super dense, maybe an underground area, even another area, who knows. I absolutely everything that this trailer showed me was exactly what I needed, to the point where I don't think they even need to do any more marketing on the game. They could just straight up release it like without any sense of marketing, commercials, any more trailers or previews. I'm ready for it. I'm going to be there day one, because to me FromSoft never misses, especially when it comes to those DLCs. I mean, Ringed City is up there for like my favorite DLC in all of gaming. And let me tell you right now, Fusion, if you thought Millennia was hard, they're probably going to introduce a lot of bosses that are on the same level, if not even harder. So just get mentally prepared for that.
It was the
'Cause-
easy one for me, so
Oh, really?
yeah, it was
Wait,
whatever. I always forget his name, but it was a dude can like turn into like a dog or something.
Malekith?
Yeah, him.
And no, that one kicked my ass too. That's
Yeah,
a
that
really
was the
harsh
one
fight.
that was the one that I was uber raging in at the time.
No, that one's genuinely difficult. But like, I mean, like Dark Souls 3, the hardest bosses in that game were from the DLC. So like, we're gonna probably expect like on the same level of difficulty as like the end game bosses of Elden Ring, which Miyazaki outright confirmed in his interview, which we'll go into later. But I mean, everything about this trailer was just like the new move sets. There's a fucking move where you could just straight up be a Tekken character and start kicking like in midair. I am very excited for the lore implications. I mean, we're following like Miquella's story, which was kind of a character that was underutilized on purpose in Elden Ring. So now I'm like, okay, now I really want to dive deep into Miquella and Melania's relationship, that whole story line in and of itself. And I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready just for more Elden Ring. It's one of my all-time favorite games, and just more of one of my favorite games will get me more excited every single day. Like every single day that passes, I keep watching the trailer like 5 times. Beef, did you watch the trailer? You finish it?
Okay, yeah, so we're finished. So, first things first, I'll echo some of what Fusion said. I don't know what is FromSoft. The trailers are also kind of like their intro sequences, where they're very. I'm also like, what the heck is actually going on? They're mostly just, kind of setting a tone and showing you what you're about to beat. So with that all said, I actually think that's actually a really good trailer. The one I just watched, it's actually insanely good. It's showing off the two things I like the most about FromSoft games. A, like the vistas, they're showing a lot of different environments, all very like some darker, some with a lot of colors. One just looking entirely purple. So I love that, and I'm liking the bosses they showed so far. Especially the one that I always dread. Just looks like a normal person who I just know is going to be infinitely harder than anything else in that DLC. But yeah, so actually, I guess I'm back on the hype train. I probably am now. Actually, probably just gonna get this in June when it drops. So I'm back.
No, I mean, like it really is just that feeling of, I'm not in the mood for Souls. Like again, like I'm kind of Souls burned, and then you see a trailer for a FromSoft game, and it's like, okay, fine, I'm back in. Throw me back in, baby. I'm ready.
It's weird to think Elden Ring is 2 years old now. It really does not feel like that at all. So, and like it's not. It's usually within the first year or maybe a little longer that they get stuff out. So that also is the exciting thing, that this is going to be very different than the DLCs, which are already very good. And obviously, yeah, like Wolf, I don't really have any complaints when I play a FromSoft DLC. I'm always, maybe the issue is sometimes they push difficulty way past, but I've always beat them, so I guess I can't complain that much.
Man, that difficulty. Just mentally prepare
Yeah.
yourselves for it.
That seems like more fun.
But that brings
Which
up
is
the most important question from the trailer. Will we introduce easy mode?
no.
I got bad
Oh,
news.
that's good.
Uh,
That's the Rise of the Ronin.
yeah, let's Rise of the Road. Just at the end of the trailer, they're like, if you want easy mode, go play this.
Yeah, they start advertising it.
But yeah, I just watched the trailer for the first time too while you guys were talking. That's funny that you pointed out the kicking, and I'm like, oh, that actually was like my favorite part of the whole trailer. That looked cool.
it's like a Tekken move. It's sick as hell.
I will say
we-
it's
Boss designs are
also
always top notch.
yeah.
Like
Those boss
I'm not in the
designs
Soul games,
were
but
very cool.
their enemy designs are always cool.
some of the
I will
best in
say
the
that
business.
that's one thing for me where it's like where Beef was saying he feels like it hasn't been that long. To me, it has felt like it's been even longer since I played Elden Ring for some reason. Like it's been 2 years, but it's felt longer for me, and it's like it's hard for me to go back to DLC no matter what during like for a game. Like I've gotten better at it throughout the years, but like for the longest time, like if you drop DLC more than 6 months after your game came out, I almost was never there. Like I just was like,
Same.
I'm playing something else. So that's one thing that kind of was like leading up to this hype before the trailer. I was like, dude, it's gonna be 2.5 years by the time this expansion comes out. Like that's forever for a DLC on your game. So like I was losing hype the longer we kept waiting for this thing. But like I said, the trailer did bring it back up for me. But it's still sitting in the back of my mind where I'm like, it's going to be 2.5 years since I played the game for the first time. Like at that point, I might as well replay the entire process.
Oh man,
Yeah.
dude, I've been thinking every day about that replay.
Yeah, and I'm sure Wolf's the same. I'm always like kind of the FromSoft Souls like gameplay loop. It's never too far from my mind, so I feel like I can jump in, even expecting the higher difficulty. But yeah, it's on my mind. Like, do I want to go back and play? I always wanted to go check out the Magic run because I heard Magic's as usual
It's
broken,
broken.
but it's always broken, but it is still
Yeah.
fun. And I've never really dug too deep into Magic in any builds because it always seems like God, I don't want to pick out the 200 Magic spells they've given us. So, but maybe I will try that out before diving into the DLC.
To move into the actual details, Okami Games has a good write up of a lot of the details that we got from this thing. For Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree details, FromSoft's largest expansion to date, and I actually wanted to stop on this point. We did see that this was going to be a $40 expansion, which, I mean, that goes past DLC. That is straight up like a full game. Are we expecting this to basically be the size of a full game? What's our expectations on length?
I guess I
No.
should go first because I played. I'm trying to think how long they usually are. I'd say 10ish. I feel like 10 hours is a
Yeah,
good
10
estimate
if you do
for.
everything.
Yeah, it's like, and I usually do everything, especially.
Same.
So I'm expecting bigger than that. I feel like some of the price points also. It's Elden Ring. This is by far their most popular game. That's not going to be an issue. People would definitely pay that price. But yeah, I'm expecting. I don't know how long. I don't know if I would say 50. I mean, I could say it's gonna be
I can
20
give you some
hours.
numbers right now.
Go ahead.
Dark Souls 3: The Ringed City on average 7 to 8 hours. Dark Souls 3: Ashes of Aryan Bell is 4 to 5 hours. Artorias of the Abyss 6 hours. Crown of the Old Iron King 4.5 to 6 hours. Crown of the Sunken City 5 to 5.5 hours. So it's pretty much
4 to
averaging.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
I
are a lot
think-
shorter than I thought they would.
Well,
be.
I think the bigger they definitely got bigger. Like the biggest ones I would think of Ring City, maybe Bloodborne. I'm
Ring
trying to think
City
how
felt
big.
massive.
Big because it literally
Old Hunters was originally 2 DLCs, and they combined them.
because Bloodborne also. And I think
Yeah.
the plan is
Old
this
Hunters
is the one.
8 to 10 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
that
thinking
makes
it's
sense.
bigger than that, and that's also probably the biggest because that was also the one DLC for Bloodborne, and it sounds like they haven't put it. They're like kind of walking around it, but it looks like this might just be the one DLC. So I expect to be the biggest.
They said it straight up.
Yeah,
It's going to be
and
the only DLC.
I know plenty of people who spent like 20, 25 hours walking around Limgrave, which especially is just because it's the tutorial. Like, not the tutorial, but the intro section. It's the one you're gonna wanna get your like feet wet in. So I think there's gonna be a wide range also, because Elden Ring is a weird game. Well, yeah, you can follow them. You can follow. I forget what they're called now. Like the golden arrows. You can just go mainline, or you can search every cave. I ended up doing like every cave the first
Oh,
playthrough,
yeah.
so it definitely is gonna be, like the thing of like, well, mainline, I can see like it falling into a standard, maybe a little bigger, somewhere around like 8 hours, but there's gonna be plenty more to do.
There's a lot. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you guys right now. I imagine this is gonna be a lot bigger than even
I would
you're
say I'd be
imagining.
shocked if it was less than 25 hours.
Sam.
It definitely feels like Elden Ring 1.5.
Yeah, like 2.5 years.
Exactly.
That's a long time.
They've
that's
clearly
also
been working on this one for a much because like usually their DLCs take like 6 months, if even. Like they're very much like Ringed City and Ashes of Arendelle came out the same year as Dark Souls 3, if I remember correctly. So you could tell like in comparison, the amount of work that they're spending on this one tells me that they put their all into it. I want to move into these other details we got here. Let me pull up. Guided by Mikola, enter the land of shadow, quote, a completely new world from the lands between. Go ahead and stop me if there's any point you want to further expand on. Seamlessly travel back and forth between the land of shadow's vast maps. Here you will meet others who follow in Mikola's footsteps. New weapons, skills, and magic exclusive to the expansion. New storyline, bosses, dungeons, and more. And then more details. Surface area will be larger than Limgrave. Over 10 new boss fights, 8 new weapon categories. Which I mean, those two right there, I want to stop on real quick. I mean,
yeah.
10. That's it depends. Do you guys think this is gonna be like 10 as in like, oh, there's gonna be like 6 of those kind of like fillery boss fights in the open world in Elden Ring, and then 4 actual ones, or is it gonna be like 10 like full on boss fights?
I guess.
Probably a mix. I don't think they would. I don't think they added 10 like mainline boss fights.
I'm trying. I was gonna say the reason I put up rank at 10 is because they usually are like half that. I feel like in the DLCs, I feel like 5 is at most
Yeah.
like what I think of when. They always showed in that trailer. I think I saw like 4 pretty interesting like boss fights that look like they're gonna be like in a set piece, with unique mechanics. So I'm fully expecting the majority to be, ones you're gonna want to do. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few where it's like you'll stumble upon it, or yeah, you just like find it in the world.
Yeah, so right now I'm like in my mind, from what I remember, the absolute max that a single DLC has had is 4. So this is 6 more than the previous maximum. That kind of tells you a lot. And then the 8 new weapon categories. I mean, we saw a couple of those in the actual trailer. Would any of those stand out fully to you guys other than the kick?
My question is, because I haven't played like a Souls DLC, like I said, will this stuff be like in the full game? Like
Yeah.
would
Yes.
these weapons, like these new weapons, could be in like a start of a new playthrough for you? Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
have to
Oh,
wait till you get to a
well,
certain spot.
Oh.
I
So you, from
go
what I
ahead, Beef.
remember, what I remember from all of them is, well, because this is like in a separate area. You can usually get to it pretty late game, and then, but yes, you can bring. They're not in the main, gameplay world, but you can bring them in, and they're usually the best shit to get because
My assumption is you have to at least
New Game
beat
Plus with
Mog.
them.
You have to at least get up to the point where
Yeah.
you beat Mog in the
Oh, okay,
base game to be
that makes
able
sense.
to even start the DLC. Which that's an end game boss if you so that kind of tells you like, okay, this is definitely a DLC meant for like the later stages of the game. You don't usually get like the Whirligig saw from Bloodborne. That was only in the DLC. That doesn't like spawn into the main game of Bloodborne, that kind of thing. But they could change it up this time. Structure is similar to the base game with vast fields, legacy dungeons, and smaller dungeons. Transition between fields and dungeons is more seamless with something, quote, a little more in between. Now, what do you guys think this means? Is it going to be like, oh, those like kind of like, I guess, fillery dungeons, like all those dungeons out in the world that kind of have the same layout? There's going to be less of that, and they're going to be much more unique.
That would be my hope.
Yeah,
I would like if the DLC added more like actual unique dungeons and stuff, because like that was one of my things with that game. Doesn't have a lot of cons, but like for me, one of them was like the dungeons that were like the exact same over and over again.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel that.
I was about to say like that's just fine for me. I'm always fine with like a little like turn your brain off content and these kind of like almost any game, as long as most of it's like pretty interesting. I'm really curious though what the heck they mean by a little different, a little more unique and seamless. I'm not I'm trying to think what that could mean, because
It-
that like they are definitely like when you go into them, they're always like kind of like I don't even know what the word is, like separate. They feel like kind of
Skyrim dungeons.
yeah, like like yeah, like you don't like just you load in, like you can't like warp out. They definitely feel like the kind of thing that like just plugged in. So we'll have to see what they
Mhm.
mean. I'm not entirely sure what they mean, but it sounds good at least.
I hope it's more unique dungeons because I'm like you, Beef. It didn't really bother me because I like a good like bit of turn off your brain content, but more. I think just the smaller surface area of the map that they're gonna have here allows them to go much more in depth with those dungeons. Difficulty will be similar to the end game of Elden Ring. There are bosses equal in difficulty to Melania. Poison Swamp confirmed. Thank God. That was actually a funny quote that came out of the Miyazaki interview where he was just like, "Yeah, I can't really help myself. It just happens. I'm obsessed with poison swamps. I've
Yeah.
Yeah,
hot
I don't
take.
think anyone
I love them.
likes. Oh, okay, never mind then. I was gonna say I don't think anyone likes any of the swamps. Like anytime swamps just in any game sucks, and then when like FromSoft doing a swamp, it like extra sucks. Like
It's weird. I'm the same where I don't like swamps, but I kind of love the FromSoft swamps. Like I love Blighttown and Farron Keep. Like it's a weird thing where I'm just I kind of like the murkiness of those environments and just that really hostile environment, which is usually the case for Souls games. It's just how hostile the world is, but it's like turned up to 11 in those poison swamps. And I usually have enough of the poison healing items where it
I would
doesn't
say,
really bother me.
yeah, it's not usually like I love the way they look. It's the point of like you're standing in the poison constantly, so you're always having to like take some herb or something or drink something like or your
Yeah.
health just plummets immediately.
I know I'm the problem in that regard. Like I get why people hate them.
I will say you do have a point, like, because I hate it's like the Crimson Sea, which isn't exactly a poison swamp, but like the Crimson Sea or something in Elden Ring.
Yeah, the rot.
Well, yeah, like, and there's like a giant pool of it that like you have to walk around through. It's the worst. But I kind of agree with you that it's memorable. All of them are memorable, and it's kind of yeah, like you're already in the hostile like place in a FromSoft game, and then you just kind of turn it up even more. It kind of does stand out, even though like I hate it. It's an even harder challenge you always have to overcome. So yeah, I'm like, it's not thing. It's like roll my eyes, but I know when I get to it, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm okay with this.
I'll remember this for a while. Like
Yeah,
we always talk about, oh, Blighttown is so awful, but like that's one of the most memorable areas in Dark Souls 1 to me because it's just so brutal. Moving in, we got a bit more details from a Famitsu interview with Miyazaki. Miyazaki on whether he has any, this is Okami Games again, by the way. Miyazaki on whether he has any desire to make another game on the scale of Elden Ring. Quote, I don't know if it's something I could start working on right away, but if it's allowed, I'd like to give it a try. I want to make use of the experience I gained from working on Elden Ring. And I kind of want to like segue this into, do you guys think like, one, is Elden Ring 2 in the cards? And two, do you think that maybe their next game they're like, okay, we did our big open world, let's go back to a more like kind of Dark Souls style, smaller world, interconnected type style, rather than the big open world again.
Um,
I
I
I have
remember
no
this
idea.
was a this was had people arguing when Elden Ring dropped, and like a lot of people were like, "This is the only like you'll get one Elden Ring and that's it." But then a lot of people were like, "No, after the success of how big Elden Ring is, I think you have a sequel," and I think that's what they do. I think Elden Ring 2 like has to exist because I'm not saying they can't put out a Dark Souls and say from the creators of Elden Ring and people wouldn't play it because like now more people know what FromSoft is, but like I just think that Elden Ring as an IP, as it like the title, just carries so much weight now that like you would be silly not to run with it if you were FromSoft.
Yeah, it's the Zelda thing with Breath of the Wild. Like it changed a lot, and it went so big that's like obviously they're gonna do another, and now they're both like, well, can you go back? I mean, and there's gonna be people who want it. I'm very much like still the Dark Souls style. That's like still a pretty big world, but it is mostly linear. You're gonna have a pretty standard progression route, and I'd be completely fine if they went back, took some lessons from Elden Ring and went it, but I fully expect there to be an Elden Ring 2, at least first. That's my idea of what they're gonna do.
That was a really good example of Zelda.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you're seeing that with Zelda where it's like, you know, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and once you go like that route with your game and everyone loves it, like everyone adores it, you're still going to have your Zelda fans who are like always want the Links to the Past and all that. I don't know the Zelda titles, but like the classic Zeldas.
Yeah, you
Like
got
you're
one of
still
them.
gonna you're still gonna have like those fans, just like you're still gonna have people who are like, I only want like a linear like Souls type game from FromSoft. But like I feel like once you get into there's more people playing Zelda now than ever, just like there's more people playing FromSoft game more than ever with Elden Ring. So I feel like once you hit that point of how successful you are with your game, you're just burning money if you just don't continue that route.
I'd argue FromSoft has done this type of shift in the past where like they had a formula and they completely changed it, and that did that with Sekiro. And Sekiro was effectively just completely different from what Dark Souls was doing. It was very much an action game instead of an action RPG. And that still saw a lot of success. I mean, that won Game of the Year at the Game Awards and got and it sold really well. I think it was their best. No, Dark Souls 3 was their best selling title before Elden Ring. But even then, like Sekiro sold extremely well because the FromSoft game title, the FromSoft name carried it, and we saw that with Armored Core 6 as well. That FromSoft name really carries it. Granted, Elden Ring 2 does get more people excited, more people interested than usual, and I don't think they would go back to Dark Souls. Miyazaki has straight up said that he doesn't want to go back to Dark Souls. Dark
Yeah.
Souls 3 is the end of it, but I could see them. Is that weird thing where, like, do you think a Bloodborne 2 would be on the same success if it was like completely multiplat on PC? Would that have the same level of success as Elden Ring, or do you think it would be like a little less, a little more?
I think it'd be
wouldn't the
less.
same level.
I don't believe in
anything.
anything Bloodborne related coming out.
If anything,
I'm
that's gonna make Dark Souls more open world.
I don't think there's gonna be a Dark Souls 4. The
Nah.
way Dark Souls 3 ended, it was very finale.
I'm not like I'm not gonna pretend like anyone should dictate. I mean I've been a FromSoft fan for a while. I'm fully on board with whatever they're gonna do next. Like even
Same.
Sekiro, I wasn't like the time I played, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but I went back to it, and it's still not like it's like probably in the middle exactly for like of the FromSoft games, maybe a little above average. Like yeah, and obviously when I say average, that's a FromSoft average, that's pretty high, and like, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's in the middle of the pack for me basically. Like, so I'll yeah, no matter what, I'll be there for whatever they do, and it's mostly like it's also like a different like in Japan, different culture. I think they're more gonna Elden Ring 2 sounds like the thing for financial sense, but they're not gonna be starving for money with whatever they got. I mean, freaking Armored Core 6 seems like it sold much better than most games do,
Way
and
more than
Armored
they thought.
and like even I like yeah and like turn my nose up to an Armored Core game 'cause like I'm not for mechs and you know so I don't think they have to worry about whatever they make it's gonna sell.
Yeah, and I don't think they have to worry about like a publisher or what's it called, like a Katakawa saying like you have to do this next. I think FromSoft is one of those companies where it's like just let them do what they want. Like we're not gonna, they're gonna sell well no matter what they do. It's kind of like a Rockstar where it's like give them a blank check, they'll make it work. There was actually recently that story. I didn't put it in the doc, but like I thought I would mention it. There was FromSoft actually now owns the IP to Elden Ring. They kind of got that from Bandai Namco. Do you guys think that means anything, or are they going to stick to like having it be published under Bandai Namco?
I
I mean, Bandai's been doing all of their games now.
yeah I think
Yeah,
they
yeah,
like
they-
Bandai Namco and it's like Bandai Namco is like an actual publisher, unlike Katakawa, who's like mostly. Well, I think Katakawa, as far as I know, is more of like an anime. Like that's more of what they do.
Yeah, they're
I
kind of
could be
a Japanese conglomerate, basically. They
yeah,
have like
more
all
than
types of entertainment.
a worldwide like publisher like Bandai. So I think
I think FromSoft is their only gaming thing.
if I had to suspect, it's because No, they might do other things with Elden Ring. I don't want to say like a show or a movie because I have no idea how the hell you would do it, but maybe like other merch and they're just like wanna be the breadwinners when that comes to it. Or maybe they're gonna do spin-offs. I don't know, but if I had to suspect, that's why. But it also makes me think, yeah, Elden Ring 2 is likely the next game.
Yeah, man, whatever FromSoft does next, I will be there. We got some more info from the Famitsu interview. I can go over these real quick. Shadow of the Erdtree development started after the base game was released, which makes sense, that 2.5 year timeline. DLC is not set in the distant past or future, but same timeline as the base game. No plans for future DLC after Erdtree, but he won't rule out future Elden Ring content. And we kind of mentioned this earlier. This is what I was saying, where like it seems like this is going to be the only DLC. Because if they don't have plans now, I doubt that they're going to have plans in the future. It's like, well, if we're going to have plans in the future, just make Elden Ring 2. But nah, I can't imagine there would be another one after that. Messmer is the character in the key art on the same level as Godric and Melania. He's kind of the big boss, it seems like. Basically the Slave Knight guy for this game, or this DLC. Some of the 8 new weapon classes: Japanese greatsword, monk-style hand-to-hand combat, fully thrown weapons, and more. Some sort of a new level up mechanic is in the DLC, similar to attack power in Sekiro. Google Translate is rough, but it sounds like it will let you customize the difficulty somehow. It allows you to say things like, "This boss is tough, so let's explore another area and try after becoming stronger." I tried like understanding what that last point means. My assumption is that it's basically how Elden Ring works, where if you're having trouble with a boss, just come back to it later and level up. I don't know what that whole thing means.
Yeah, go do one of those like XP level grind real quick for the next 2 hours and then come back.
Yeah, basically. And then real quick, I want to point out Elden Ring has sold over 23 million units worldwide. With the DLC, what do you guys think the ceiling for this game sales-wise is?
Or like the end of 2024.
Just all
Like
time.
when you're coming all time.
What do we think is going to be the resting point? Because I'm thinking 30 mil.
Well, I would put it, and maybe it's not as big because it's in a little bit of an each genre. I'd use The Witcher 3 probably as the closest.
There's no way it catches The Witcher.
I
The
don't
Witcher
know
3 is like
because
at 60.
Yeah, The
well,
Witcher's
I
at
know,
60
but
something.
also that's 5 years. Witcher, and some of that is like not Elden Ring. Witcher had a
Almost
show
10
which
years.
helped, but also I guess I can put up now. I feel like Elden Ring is still played a lot, at least on Steam. It's 2 years old. Now again,
Still
it
is in the
probably
top
won't have.
10.
Yeah, and I
Or
probably
top
won't.
20.
Yeah, like, and it still is like sold. I don't know what's the cheapest you could ever buy Elden Ring. I don't think it's below $30. So
Yeah, it's never cheap. Let me tell
there's
you.
also
Never. Yeah, it's
so
always 30.
there's also that like you have to remember it's 25 million without dropping to like a $10. Like I've seen even like a game like Cyberpunk obviously like dropped to 10 when everyone was pissed at it. So it's like it's also very different when you hit 30 million at when you hit 25 million at like $30.
I'm with you. I think they're around 30. Like I think, which is phenomenal, by the way. Like that's not like a slight to
yeah.
the game of any slight, but it's just like I think we're gonna after the DLC, we're gonna get to the point where I feel like people who have wanted to play Elden Ring have at this point, and like I'm sure you'll get a couple million over the next few years, and like until the game like 5 years from now, you know what I mean? But I feel like because what did they sell immediately? Didn't they hit
It
20
was.
million like super fast or something crazy?
I remember
It was like 5 million. Pretty fast.
I remember. I'll look it up. I remember it was like I thought it was like 10 million in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like because obviously this is not a fall off, but like for 2.5 years, like 2 years later, I felt like it has slowed
Okay.
down a lot.
It sold 12 million in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So we're talking 10
Yeah,
million
so-
more in 2 years.
Basically, and that's not like obviously.
Oh yeah, that's
very,
not a
very impressive.
yeah. That's just
But
saying like
it-
like predict the future. You know what I mean?
It's not the best example because Tears of the Kingdom fell off really hard, but like everyone who bought Tears of the Kingdom bought it at launch. Everyone who wanted to play that was like the first 3 months, and it kind of like tapered off to around like the 19 million mark. We kind of discussed that the last sales figures episode, where it was kind of just like it reached its 19 million, and then like the next 2 quarters it kind of was like sold like 800k copies. Like everyone who wanted to buy it bought it. And I think Elden Ring is not as similar because it still got like 10 mil in those 2 years, but it's still more similar to that than like maybe like, I don't know, like a Skyrim, where that's just kind of a game that keeps selling no matter
Yeah.
what. It's going to keep selling throughout its whole lifetime.
Which I
Yeah,
think that's the comparison to Witcher, where like I felt Witcher 3's been like the Skyrim of the past 2 generations. You know what I mean? Like where that game just continues to just random, like it just sells. It's like what Skyrim was for the 360 and like the actual one, and still to this day, it's like that's what Witcher is, which I feel like FromSoft and Elden Ring doesn't have that same effect, because like obviously Elden Ring got a lot of non-Souls fans into the genre, but like there's still millions and millions of Souls, like non-Souls fans, that are never going to look at Elden Ring.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. Witcher has a lot more like mainstream success because of the show. Now, there was rumors that there was going to be an Elden Ring show. I don't really think that's going to happen anytime soon. But, you know, never to say never. If it's a good show, then it could work out and actually really increase its sales even more.
It'll probably stop at 25 to 27 million, I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm
yeah,
at.
that
Like
sounds
between,
right.
I'm like between 27 and 30. That's like my
I think
range.
in
Thirty.
the next
Not
5
30.
years, it ends at 30, I think.
yeah, that's what I'd put it.
And finally, because I love torturing myself, Bloodborne was mentioned. Shinobi has this one. Bloodborne is a title we hold very dear and just as much as our fans, says Hidetaka Miyazaki when asked about a potential remake, and apologizing for being unable to say more. Quote, I think having new hardware is definitely a part of what gives these remakes value. Things you weren't able to achieve on previous generations of hardwares, ways you weren't able to render specific expressions, sometimes makes it possible. I think how he saw that quote was, oh yeah, people want a remake. Isn't that interesting? It's like, no, we don't really want a remake. We just want it at 60 FPS, if anything. It's like something out of that. I I don't know what the fuck is going on. People clearly want Bloodborne remastered in some way, but we're remastering like, I don't want to mention Last of Us 2 because I don't want Fusion on my bad side. What's another game? Death Stranding. Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima. It's like, I don't know why we're remastering that. It's like, okay, good, remaster those, or like do the PS5 version, whatever. Why not Bloodborne? That's clearly the one. That's the one that we're asking you to do.
I don't know. I think at this point it's like a PS6 launch title, and they're just holding it for the
Fuck off.
PS6 for some reason.
Fuck off. No.
It's
To
gonna be
wait
that
that.
far away. Like 4 more years, man.
Beyond the IP.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We don't really know what the whole IP situation is. I assume it's got a Sony. It
No, I'm
has to.
pretty sure it's Sony.
I don't even. Sony owns the IP. That's what I know.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know
They're
what
not
the fuck.
greenlighting it for whatever reason.
My assumption is FromSoft wants to be involved in some way, and that's kind of what's like stalling development because FromSoft's busy with their own thing. It's like, oh, we can't really work on a Bloodborne thing right now. I don't know. Beef. I think I'm with you where it's like, I'm done. Let's.
Yeah, I just have no hope, which is like mostly fine. I've played Bloodborne several times, and I have the platinum. I'm probably not gonna feel it. Well, someday I'll feel the need to go back, and then maybe I'll complain about how it runs after playing newer games, and then also jump on the train of like where the hell is, at least an updated version. But yeah, I don't know either what's going on. I'm almost the opposite, Wolf. I almost think Sony wants FromSoft in, and FromSoft might be like, we got a bunch of other stuff we're doing. So I'm not even sure
Yeah.
like what FromSoft is thinking, because they didn't. I don't think FromSoft, I could be wrong, helped with the Dark Souls remastered. I feel like that was just
Demon Souls. No.
and that
They
and
did not work on that at all.
I feel like the best case scenario is a full remake from Blue Point, or maybe if it's far in the future, someone else. But I don't know. And I'm fine with it, but I know there's plenty of people out there in the world who are constantly shouting for something with Bloodborne.
Why would they handicap themselves is the real question. Because FromSoft is getting massive success from multiplat.
Because
Anything related to Bloodborne will be locked to PS.
because video game
Because it's
fans
Bloodborne.
and video game fans lack so much creativity. I complain the same when people are like Larian should take over the Knights of the Old Republic remake, and I'm like, couldn't we just have them make a new game and not like a remake for just PS5? It's the same thing. It's like I always fully expect with these people they just want to do something new, and that's why they don't care when everyone is shouting about Bloodborne.
Yeah, we keep getting these things about remakes and things, and I'm like, I'd rather you just do a new game.
Yeah, especially with like massive RPGs. Like these are the hardest things to remake. I'm shocked that any of them like want to like remake in detail 100 to like well, and those aren't like 100 games, but even like a 50-hour game. Like with dev time these days, like I'm shocked that they actually go through the effort. Even though I always love remakes of RPGs, which I'm sure we'll talk about one later when we get to what we play.
And we don't get ahead of yourself, buddy. We still got
Oh,
a lot
well.
of news left.
I know.
And I guess like just final thoughts on Shadow of the Erdtree. How are we feeling about this? We excited? June 21st. Can't come soon enough.
Yeah, Wolf pulled me in, so I guess yeah, I'm excited.
Just don't release. Like hopefully a game that I really like. I'm looking forward to doesn't release around that time as well.
Oh, you gotta wait for that Horizon MMO.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Luckily,
that would be crazy.
yeah, luckily I don't think there's anything announced at that time. And now I think anyone who wanted the release in June is like, maybe we'll just push it back a little bit. We're not gonna.
You'd
fight
have to be
this.
insane to try to release it in
Yeah.
June now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there
Shin
is
Megami
anything
Tensei
in June.
5 Revengeance comes out that time.
Yeah.
Look,
I mean, that's its own like niche thing. SMT
Yeah.
fans, they're gonna buy it no matter what. So I think they're fine with releasing that on the same day. But like something in the same genre, or just like the same look, just being like a 3D action adventure game like that, like a Horizon, that's just gonna get cooked.
Yeah, at least their PC release in March. They didn't get shafted this time.
It's coming out the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, and Princess
Yeah,
Peach
but
Showtime.
I think
Now,
they'll be fine enough.
Yeah, and also I will say Horizon's actually a bigger franchise than all those. I think they're fine. It's a PC port, so. Moving on. Partner Showcase. Nintendo had this bad boy. They just dropped it on Wednesday. It was just a full-on video, not a live stream. And a lot of mez coming from a lot of people. And my reaction was, it's a partner showcase. I don't think we were even going to expect anything of worth here. And I think there's a more interesting discussion to talk about, like the wider range of Nintendo's 2024, which seems to be, now that we know that this, well, not know, but like now that we've kind of seen the assumption that the Switch 2 is probably going into 2025 from a lot of credible sources, it seems like 2024 is going to be a lot of remakes, a lot of remasters, a lot of ports, and be a very quiet year overall, unless maybe a Prime 4 sneaks in at the end of the year. What do you guys think?
Yeah, as the resident Nintendo fan here,
Okay, buddy.
What do you mean?
that's what I mean. That's kind of what we said last week, where like for at least big new releases, Nintendo was kind of relying on the Switch to come out this year, the Switch 2, and like at this point, all signs point to it's not coming. So it sounds right because unless, like you said, Metroid Prime 4 just shadow out of nowhere for fall or something.
Yeah, I guess I will talk about the actual direct in a little bit, but for like
Oh
actual
yeah, we'll
like
talk about it. Don't worry.
for the direct, like for what it means, like I feel like usually this is an issue. Like most people are fine with a console's last year, being like, we're gonna just put off some stuff, and then when the thing actually launches, we'll have the big game. So usually this would be fine, but I think it's just that Nintendo's being really is like so quiet about like what the next Switch is gonna be. Like people are just kind of antsy and like
Very cagey.
Yeah, they're very cagey, and like even the few things that I think like will kind of maybe some of us I know are excited about, like the Paper Mario like remake, or even if they were finally put out like other stuff like the Wind Waker Twilight Princess pack, like there's not so much information on them, so all we really have coming out is like very like niche stuff and ports, so it's like it's hard to feel like any excitement right now.
Yeah, there's definitely games I'm looking forward to out of Nintendo this year, but like it is not like a 2023 where I felt like they were kind of firing off at all cylinders. Now, this definitely feels like a much more quieter year, more akin to like a 2020, which was pretty quiet year overall for Nintendo, at least from what I remember.
It's just a lot
And
of ports and remakes mostly.
We shouldn't.
yeah, and which is the usual for like that's
Yeah.
most of the time with the last year of a console's lifespan. Might be
Yeah,
wrong.
I feel like we shouldn't complain because there's plenty to play.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think
Exactly.
it's just Nintendo's like in its own category, so it's like you think
When
of it
Nintendo's
different than
empty, if it's a different kind of empty than when Sony and Xbox are.
yeah, it's like I'm already busy and those games coming out, but I'm not playing them on my Switch, so it feels
It's like
different.
I'm not playing on my Switch nonstop enough to where I'm like, where's the games? Where's the games? It's like I have a lot of stuff on my back catalog on my Switch. And also it's just yeah, I don't use my Switch every day because it's my exclusive machine. I'm fine with like waiting for the next exclusive. It personally just never bothers. I'm not the type to where I'm like, I need to have all my consoles used for something at any time. I don't really care about that. I'll just
You
play
don't care
whatever
about the
games I
dust,
want to
bro.
play.
You don't care when it
Dude,
gets dusty on the top.
People always be saying it's like, man, my Switch is gathering dust, and it's like, dude, who cares? You'll undust it when you play a game.
Yeah.
And just like to throw in there, I know we were talking about like end of generation consoles and like not having games. The PS4 ended on like the greatest year ever. So,
Well,
just to throw that out there.
yeah, I mean
Well, no, that was the same year as the console, but like 2019 was kind of a slower
I
year
know.
for the PS4.
And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But for it to, I mean, the console came out at the end of November of 2020.
Fair, yeah. So, go ahead, Beef. You were saying something?
I was just gonna say yeah. I mean, because the PS4 launched like ended fine with Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
So
And
yeah,
For
like
Final
that
Fantasy
year.
VII
but
remake.
I mean,
but
remake, yeah.
was that the same? Okay.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
same
that
year.
was 2020. That was a pretty insane year.
I don't remember.
2020 was an insane year. We also had Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. Yeah, I don't expect that for most consoles, except for like the one game that's cross-platform that usually like at least more Nintendo like when they release like a Twilight Princess. That's more what I think of.
So going into the actual direct, were there any like specific games you guys were interested in you want to mention? Because there's a couple for me specifically because I have weird taste in
I'm
games.
trying to remember what was announced now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Once I saw it was a video, I skimmed through to see if Silksong appeared and did not watch them. So,
That is insane, Fusion,
I'll be
bro. You
honest.
are upset. There was some
Wow.
cool indie games that you'd be into.
I mean, no, I just felt like I don't know. There was just nothing. There's nothing in a partner direct for me personally where I'm like I'm gonna play any of these games on my Switch ever. So it's like
Yeah, I think that's the
I
thing.
didn't
Is
care
like,
to watch.
I don't think
Well, yeah, I
any
don't
of
play
these I got on a Switch.
No, that's that partner directs for me. It's like, oh man, PS5 advertisement for me. What games I'm gonna get on my PlayStation? I mean, like to me, it's just like, hey, more game trailers. I like watching video game trailers, so I just went ahead and watched it.
Yeah, it's really just Shin Megami Tensei for me. I'm just like
Uh,
looking at Nintendo's YouTube page right now and looking at all the individual trailers. Like, yeah, that's really the only
They got
thing.
timestamps on the actual video. There was a Sword Art Online game, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
a weird
I
ass
did see
trailer.
that.
It was interesting, and then I learned it's a raid boss game, like a Monster Hunter, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Oh, you're not into Monster Hunter?
Not
Me
like
neither.
those gather into like groups of 20 and go after a big thing. No.
You
Give me
play
a nice
Monster Hunter
single
solo.
player game.
I think if you play Monster Hunter solo, though, they like make fun of you. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't need to be made fun of for playing this alone and because it's Sword Art Online.
Listen, man, that's PEMDAS. You know, they think you'll turn around and be cool for it. I mean, look at.
another Crab Scissor getting a release date. It's nice. That's good.
Oh, it got an actual release date.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, April.
Oh fuck yeah! I didn't realize. What the hell? Was that like
Yeah, you must have been asleep.
I was so. You guys do not understand how fucking tired I was. They made me wake up at 8 a.m. for this thing.
They made me
That's
wake
my
at
thing.
6 a.m.
Like, I'm sorry. I understand I'm harping on like it being not live, but like if I'm waking up at 6 a.m., like if I'm Moon and I wake up at 6 a.m. and it's just Nintendo posted a YouTube video, I'd just be so mad.
I feel that. I mean, to talk about it, like they start off the whole thing with Grounded. We're gonna actually go into that topic afterwards, but Grounded and Pentiment were here. Pentiment was in a sizzle reel, which was kind of funny to think about. I feel like if I'm Xbox, I'm like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's like you can't sell that kind of game like Pentiment in a sizzle reel. Like you need to deep dive that shit to explain it.
that was the first time I actually saw gameplay for Pentiment. I'm like, oh, that's what it looks like. That was a weird moment for me. I don't know. Grounded is an interesting one to start with. I'll be honest. But it is a game with 20 million players. Now, are those players active?
I've never met one.
Eh.
I never met one.
I've
I don't
never
know,
met a
but
Grounded player in real life.
I'll never forget when Obsidian was like, "We're gonna show off our new game." It's like, "Fuck yeah!" The guys who made all these amazing RPGs, I'm so interested, and they were like, "Here's Grounded." I'm like,
Here's
"What
a
the fuck is
survival.
this?"
Here's a survival game.
I was so upset. I'm like, "All right, guys, stay in your lane." No, I'm not gonna. I have an opinion about Obsidian, but I'm saving that until like a Bop is on the show because I want him to fight me. Because I know he would kill me for this take. But no, I mean, that we'll talk about more about Grounded when we get into the actual Xbox games going third party. Unicorn Overlord had a trailer here, and honestly, it looked even better. Beef,
there's
you
a
were talking
demo
about
out
the
now.
you were talking about the character designs, Beef.
Yeah, it's not any different. It's not any different than what. But there's sure there's people out there who's like, what's the problem with Vanillaware character designs? And I'm like, it's not a problem. It's just very like, oh yeah, it's these guys where the girl's chest just sticking out and constantly moving, and I'm like, yeah, I forgot about this. How did I forget about this? And I was like, it was distracting
Those
because
games are good though.
those games are good and Unicorn Overlord. So I have I have been so weird on this direct. I watched it and I was actually like pretty like, oh, that was good. And then I like looked back everything. I was like, most of this stuff is like ports of old games, and that kind of annoys me. Sometimes directs like people like get so high in them, and I'm like, guys, you could have played most of these games. Like they're already out. I much prefer a new game. And then I've played Unicorn Overload's demo and Pocket Quad Jockey, and I'm like, okay, actually those are fun. But
Oh, is it?
one of them?
So wait, you played Unicorn Overlord?
Oh, the demo, yes. So I didn't finish it because I played like half the demo and then realized like, okay, I'm sold. I don't need to finish it. But yeah, it's really good. It's like it's a little weird at the beginning because I was like, this feels like it's playing itself. But then as like you kind of go on, you're like, if you think the main comparison is Fire Emblem, which also like kind of the battles play itself. It's more about the strategy of like placing people and making units. So I would highly recommend that demo. It did sell me in the game. I was thinking I was gonna get day one, and I definitely am. So yeah, anyone who's not checked out the demo, I think it's out on all platforms now. Yeah, check it out. It's really good.
If its release date wasn't so rough, I would definitely get that thing day one.
What is the release date? It's March.
3 days after Rebirth.
Okay, wait. It's March second.
March 3rd. March 3rd. Yeah,
It's
so 4
coming
days,
out in
my
like
bad.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
fucking
mean, they usually
god!
release demos pretty close when it comes to Squeenix. So
I didn't know that. I thought it was like the end of March. Oh
nope.
god.
Beef is like questioning everything right now.
Now I'm like, because I was gonna play something else like after I finish like what I'm playing now.
Look,
I'm like,
hold on,
okay,
look at my
maybe
let me
not.
look at my calendar. Oh yeah, it's 13 days away.
we got a rough schedule ahead of us. I mean, like middle
Yeah.
of March seems to be kind of like calm, but then it's that trifecta on March 22nd that we got to worry about
Yeah.
I just realized Rebirth is not on my calendar. What the hell?
because it's so close. You don't even got to put it on your calendar. You just
Crazy.
mentally know it.
Wait till Binks listens to the podcast and hears that, man.
You think
You're
he
done.
listens?
It was here. Like what the hell happened?
You're done when he finds out you're not doing jumping jacks right now.
The moment Bench realizes he's not on the podcast, is like, I'm not listening to this episode. I'm not on want it.
Oh, it somehow got switched to my backlog collection, not on my wish list. What the hell? When did that happen?
It's already on the
You
backlog.
know we,
Damn.
you know we backlogged it.
I want to move into SMT5 Vengeance. This seems to kind of be the Persona 5 Royal for SMT5, which kind of annoys me because
Yeah.
I own a copy of SMT5.
I own SMT5. Like, I bought it.
And you know, I'll be honest. That trailer did look fucking awesome, and I do really want to play this game. But I kind of have an issue where okay. So you know the way people talk about Souls games, it scares off non-Souls fans. That's kind of how it is with SMT for me, because I fucking suck at JRPGs, and the way they're like, "Oh man, I had to grind like for 30 hours to even beat this boss, and I lived with 1 HP," and I'm like, "Oh my god, that sounds so painful."
Yeah, but unlike
Grant-
Souls games, though, these have easy options.
yeah, I mean they have an easy option, but I heard even from them, it's like, "Oh, but easy isn't. It's still hard." It's like, man, what do I gotta do? Now, granted, I think Vengeance is actually adding an even easier option, so that's
Oh.
something. But I
I
mean,
think
like,
it's
I
called
feel
like
like the main,
story mode or something like that.
yeah, I think the whole point of these games is mostly you're playing it for that JRPG gameplay. There's not a story that like enthralls you the same way like maybe a Persona does. So I don't know. I don't know if that's how I'd want to play, where I'm like, oh, focus in on the story. What story? Now, granted, I say that, but I've heard Vengeance. It seems to be the one that kind of solves a lot of the issues with SMT5 story. It's like, oh, this is actually like a much more in-depth and like
Yeah, it
fully
seems to be
fledged out
like a
story.
Fire Emblem Three Houses kind of thing, where there's 2 stories now. I'm curious how different they are. If it will actually require like 2 playthroughs. Like you pretty much have like 2 full games almost, kind of like how in Three Houses you have 3 almost very different games.
Yeah, it's an entire new game inside of the game. They're both like
Yeah.
80 hours long each
Like
route.
I'm gonna, well,
That was
we don't know
insane.
like how much of it is similar though. Like there's
They
a lot
said
of
only the
overlap
very
in like
beginning,
Three
then it
Houses.
branches off.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wait for like some expert to dissect the whole game and be like, okay, here's how much is actually different.
Probably
then
just
play the
the
one
point, to
route.
be honest.
Play the one
I'm
route
very
that I care
excited.
about.
I'm very excited to see what that when it's $30, because I'm kind of peeved because I don't know if you guys saw this, but they were like, "Oh, you can't transfer your save data from SMT5, but you can transfer 3 of your favorite party members." It's like, what?
What?
Like,
I didn't see that.
yeah, it's like you can't transfer save data, but you could transfer 3 monsters that were in your party, which is like, at that point, just let me transfer my save data. What the fuck?
I mean, I guess that
Hey,
has something to do with the fact it's now going to go multi-platform. So you don't want like Switch owners to have this advantage or something. I don't know.
that'd be a weird ass thing to be like, Switch owners, you don't get to have an advantage. Fuck you. You're on the same level playing field.
It's like you all have to
It's just
start
a single
over.
player game.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, what do you think?
I don't know. It's weird.
Atlas is
being
Atlas. Beef. Star Wars Battlefront collection. Am I right?
Oh my
I'm
god.
so excited for this. I am so surprised that they actually got to re-release these bad boys.
It's so messed up because I play those. Like it's not like, oh, I haven't played those in years. I played them last year, but they've done a few things. Like I haven't really played them online. They're like, oh, we're gonna have I think 64 player online, which is dope, and
Yeah.
just like it being available to more people. I can only really play it now on Xbox, and I think it's on Steam, but I haven't bought it on Steam, so. I think they're doing enough that I'm looking forward to it, and I don't care what anyone says. This is actually a legitimately great game. I'm looking forward to it so much. I already got one friend who's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna play this. We're gonna sit down play this together. We're gonna do whatever. We're gonna go through it plenty of times." So, yeah, I'm actually very much looking forward to Battlefront coming back, especially as like
Yeah.
a dual pack. Battlefront 1, it's like because everyone defaults Battlefront 2, but Battlefront 1 has like a few maps and like some stuff I think that's like not Battlefront 2. So putting them together, I'm like, oh good, it's just everything now. It's a definitive version.
Yeah, and you might as well like dual pack that release, get yourself
Yeah,
everything in one, because it's not like, oh, later down the line we'll re-release Battlefront 2 or Battlefront 1. It's like, just give it all at once. It's a
yeah,
pretty
no,
cool thing.
yeah. If you put them out, like, there's no reason to do Battlefront 1. Like I said, there's some parts of it like put into Battlefront 2. That's what I want. But if you like one or the other, why would anyone go with the first one over the second one?
Exactly. Moving into it, there was a new Super Monkey Ball game. I'm actually really excited for this, but I'm also like skeptical on it because, like, I swear, Monkey Ball is a weird franchise where it feels like they both like fuck it up, but also, oh, they do cool things. I'm like interested to see what they're doing with this. I do want to actually play through that Monkey Ball collection that they recently released, but yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to parse off on the trailer. The 64 player online. Was it 64 players? Or, I
There's
forget.
only like
I think it was
16 or something like that.
16. My bad. I got that confused with Battlefront.
Yeah,
Then.
there wasn't that many.
Battlefront was 64 players.
Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. But no.
I just gotta say, what did they do to II? I thought it was an entirely different character. I didn't recognize him.
They gave him
Oh.
pants.
I looked like
They
all
gave
the
him-
character designs looked a little different, but
They made
Is
him
this
look
the
younger.
reboot?
They Pixarified him.
Oh, God. I mean, I don't think anyone's like losing sleep over this.
no.
It's Twitter. Never
Me.
mind. There's
I'm
definitely
losing
some
sleep over
people
II's eyes.
I don't even play this game and I'm fucked up by this. World of Goo 2, I just want to mention real quick. I'm actually excited for that because World of Goo is a really fun puzzle game, but not really much else to say. Another Crab Treasure. I mean, hey, listen. Beef, you said you were a little Souls-like though. Keep feeding them to me. I will say though, this trailer was like, oh, this seems to be a bit more kiddie, I guess. I don't know. Okay, this is a weird thing. I don't like when indie games try to be funny because most of the time they're not funny. And I feel like this one's gonna try to be funny.
I didn't know until like I think it was a description of the trailer thing that was a Souls-like, because I guess I've never looked at the game that closely. I always assumed it was kitty quick game like, oh, we play as a crowd, kind of like Untitled Goose Game, not Uncharted. So I was like, wait, this is a Souls-like? Okay.
Yeah, they announced it as a Souls-like.
I think it's on Game Pass, so maybe
Yeah, it's coming to Game Pass. That's where I'm getting it.
maybe I'll check it out. Yeah, but I don't like. Yeah, no. I guess I'm looking forward to it a bit.
Yeah, I remember what kind of funny when they did like their indie thing last year, like their day of indie thing, like the little dub thing they did, and they had this game up there, which was the first time I saw it, and honestly looked pretty hard. Like
Oh,
for what they were going for. Obviously, it's not gonna be no FromSoft hard, but like I was surprised with like how much Blessing and Andy were like dying, and like Andy's like
Are
those,
they that good though?
I mean, they play a lot of From games, but I was surprised also with this trailer with how much they did show of like from the non-combat side, where it looks like there's an actual like story going on here, and like you're talking to like other characters.
Yeah,
and
that
all
was my thing. I was like, all right, we really need all this dialogue here?
I was kind of
Let's
into
calm
it,
down.
but I like
I'm-
dialogue in my
but
games.
It's interesting that I'm hearing that you're saying it is hard because literally in the trailer, or not the trailer, but the tweets that they put out for this new trailer, they literally call itself Baby's First Souls-like. That's how they describe the game.
Damn, what does that say about Andy and Bless then? Holy
I
shit.
was gonna
Well,
say,
I mean, granted, I was watching, so I don't know. Like, there's probably been demos. I'm pretty sure there's been demos out, so we could have tried it. And
I
seen
think there
how
was a
hard it
Steam
was.
Next Fest.
Yeah.
I think it was only on a Steam. I think there was a Steam demo for a little bit.
Oh, I failed this. I wrote this down.
see, I'm kind of just hoping they screwed up and it is like actually insanely hard, because that would just be even funnier. It's like
It would be funny if like this cutesy
Now
crab game
it's like-
is actually
it's
really
like-
hard.
it's harder than like a FromSoft game, and people are like, what the hell have you made here?
I thought the shield mechanic, which I don't know if you know about the shield mechanic, but like your shell, like you can pick up trash from like the ocean
That's sick.
floor and wear it as your
Oh
back
yeah,
shield.
there's like 100 different shells you can use, and they all have like
Yeah.
different abilities.
And like if one break, your enemies can break it off of you, and then you can run real quick and go find another one, like find a Coke bottle and throw it on your back.
That's just funny because I've been following this game ever since its first announcement. I follow their Twitter. They are very active in their community. And
Yeah.
the funniest thing was they took a community poll to for a shell design, and some of the designs that people submitted, and the one that won was a crusty old sock.
That's pretty funny.
And so now, yeah, there's a crusty old sock in the game as a shell. It's
I
like,
just noticed
oh,
this. I just noticed I skipped Disney's Epic Mickey rebrushed.
Oh, that's crazy.
which
I'm into this.
I'm surprised that something like that is happening, but I'm
I have
guessing
no idea what this
Disney
is.
just wants more money.
Man, Fusion, what do you do all day?
I've never heard of this game. I saw people on Twitter
Epic-
were excited about it, but
Epic Mickey was Disney's big jump into the gaming space. They had a whole ass studio and they were hyping this thing up like it was gonna be the next fucking Mario. And they were like, this is gonna be massive. And it came out and it wasn't massive. But
It was
It
just
wasn't good?
okay. No,
It was-
actually, it was a pretty
people liked
decent
it.
selling It was a Wii exclusive, which didn't help.
yeah, being Wii exclusive in that generation, like people did not buy games on Wii.
I'll say
Like,
the box art looks awesome. So like they can get
the
that
original
from me.
box art looked a lot better. I'm not into the new design. I'm excited because I actually haven't played this Epic Mickey. So
But
I'm
yeah,
like,
I guess they're just
I'll check that.
remaking it to get rid of the motion controls.
please.
'Cause that's what this is.
I would assume they got the remake too as well.
There's a
Who's
got the
second
remake?
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, they're
How
not gonna remake.
No, they're not
People
gonna
don't
make the
like
second
two.
one.
It's the power.
One, people didn't like two, it didn't have. That was already multi-platform and didn't have the motion controls. It was just the first one that
Yeah,
was
you
the
can't
exclusive.
play 2 on modern consoles right now, I don't think. I
You
don't
can
think it's
play
backwards
you
compatible.
can play 2 on backwards compatibility on Xbox.
Oh, is it too?
Yeah, because my brother plays it on my
didn't-
Xbox sometimes.
Oh yeah, two people really didn't like this game. Has horrendous scores.
What? Man, you say that like it's like that's the one game your brother plays like it's Call of Duty.
Pretty
Comes over
much.
to your place and plays Epic
He plays
Mickey
that.
2.
He plays that, and he plays Sonic games.
God bless his soul.
Also,
one of the
Epic
highlights-
Mickey.
oh.
I just want to say one more thing about Epic Mickey. It'll always be in my mind. The funniest thing about it is the biggest drastic change from the concept art that we got about the game to what was actually in the game. Like the concept art made it look like an actual horror game. Like I will post some of this
Yeah.
concept
Dude,
art.
that concept art, I am so like, you guys should try that. let's try that next time.
Like
Epic
this shit
Mickey
goes
is
hard.
so cool. It is so cool from a concept standpoint, but it's just
Yeah,
like
Like if you look
Oh,
at
yeah,
the game,
it's
if you
good.
look at the game's story from a concept point where it's a land of forgotten Disney things and they all turned into horror animatronics pretty much. Like it's such a cool idea of like long lost Disney property. And
this concept art is insane.
Who made this game? What dev team?
Disney
it was-
Interactive
I think it was
Oh,
just Disney
it was a-
Interactive.
They
originally.
should have gave it to someone else.
from software.
Anyone? Apparently, it
They
was
weren't
Junction Point Studios and Seed Studios.
Give this to the FNAF team.
What? So you can make another mediocre sequel?
That's what
I'm sorry. What? You hype up the fucking current state of FNAF. Okay, I'm not gonna hype it up. That movie was awesome though. I love that movie.
You're gonna shit on the games, but you're gonna hype up the movie? What the fuck is this?
The recent games, you're gonna hype up the recent FNAF games.
You're
Are you
gonna
a
hype up
security?
the fucking movie
Recent
over the
movie,
recent
yeah.
game?
The movie is bad, but it's bad with a heart of gold. The games,
That's
the recent
bullshit.
games, they just suck. Hype up Security Breach for me, Dark. Tell me why everyone should play Security Breach.
I love Security Breach.
Why are you here, Fusion?
I've never played Security Breach, to be honest.
I don't think Fusion even knows what security breach is.
No, I have no idea.
I don't think he knows what FNAF is. I genuinely am.
I know what FNAF is.
Okay. One of the highlights of the direct for me, at least, was Penny's big breakaway. I'm pissed off though. They fucking did a shadow drop. Stop shadow dropping games. Learn this from Hi-Fi Rush. But yeah, I'm very interested in checking it out. I have it downloaded. I'm hoping to try it out after Persona 3.
Yeah, this is the one where I actually think it's even worse. At least Hi-Fi Rush came out like a pretty calm time, and it got to take over. It's like I'm like wondering when there's gonna be reviews
A
of
week
this
before Rebirth.
because it feels like I was also like, oh, good, because I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm gonna play it, but it feels like this is actually the wrong time to. It's like this AO launch games that just came out like in the last two weeks to 1 week, and then you have the day after, like like all the reviews for Rebirth come out. It's like this is a March, April, May game, like when there's a calmer time.
Put it in
But
April.
I'm-
That's all you have to do.
but but hey, at least for me, which is I'll play it, so at least we got it now.
They knew there was gonna be people double dipping in Persona and Rebirth. This game is targeted at those people.
Yeah.
They gave you a
The-
palate
the-
cleanser.
Penny's Big Breakaway, do you think does it give off weeb vibes? I don't think it does.
No,
Is it the same audience?
it might.
No, it's
Well,
it's
okay,
just
it
a
might be in
palette
this.
monitor.
It might be in the same audience that a lot of weebs have a soft spot for 3D platformers, like mascot platformers.
Hey,
I mean,
I'm one of them.
it is like specifically supposed to be like a Sega Saturn game, so that is a pretty specific audience. It's like a Mike
Is it
Minotti audience. I think that's
Is
supposed to be
that
like
how
the
they
main
stated?
influence. I think that's the main
I think they
influence.
said it
No
was more
wonder why it looks like
N64
Sonic
PS1.
3D Blast.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's the Sonic Mania team.
it's a Sega, or like maybe push to like a Dreamcast. Like it's like it's like an. I haven't seen it too closely, but yeah, it's like in that realm. So a specific audience.
I'll just tell you right now because I'm actually playing it right now, and it's very much so like that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Beef, you said you played Pocket Card Jockey Ride On? Ride On.
Okay.
Tell me about this.
I don't wanna. I really don't. I don't know. It's just it's so weird that this came out. I mean, well, it's a port, but it's so weird it came out at the same time as Belatro, which I'll be the one to talk about later, because it's very similar. Like Belatro's like a poker game, and like, but but it's a lot more than that. And this one's like, oh, it's solitaire to use as a horse racing game. I was just so upset about it, mostly because like if you give me a demo in a full game that people like talk about, I'll probably download it. But it took until like today for the demo to come out, and I seem to be the only human who realized this, and it freaked me the hell out. I was like, did Nintendo just lie? Because I want to check this out. And it finally did come out. I just started playing it. It's probably too. I don't know if I can. I mean, check out the demo, but it's really easy. It's mostly like, yeah, you play solitaire to make your horse run faster, and then it's only kind of funny because like I think this is from Game Freak, the Pokemon devs. So
It is, yeah.
so it kind of has like that cute kid art style, and it's just kind of funny when you go find a lap, and I'm like, yes, the horse is pissed off, and now he's just gonna shoot from fifth to first. I think it only works for me because maybe again I'm playing Belatro, and any card game right now is kind of just being like, yes, yes, please, more of this. But I don't think most people care about this game.
People really love the one on 3DS, but I
I
heard
will,
that
I will.
this was like originally a mobile game.
I know that's what the one thing is because I saw apparently it's Android, which what I have, but only in Japan. And I was like, it might work better as an Android game because when I was playing the demo, I was just using the touchscreen on the Switch. I think that's the best way to play it. So I put it on my wish list and maybe I'll pick it up. But I mean, I guess yeah, check out the demo. Like, but I
Just a
don't
resounding,
know.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's cute.
Now I want to move into just the last things real quick. I need to talk about Contra Operation Galuga. This game looks like fucking dog shit, and I'm so surprised it's way forward. I want it to be good because I love those classic Konami franchises. I'm a sucker for Konami games, but this game looks like hot dog shit, and I'm
I
hoping.
played the demo. It's hot dog shit.
Oh, is it? Okay, fun. I mean, hey, listen. Way forward. They do pixel art. Why is it like okay? Let's do this ugly ass 2.5D.
I gotta say,
The real-
I have a. Go
Okay.
ahead. I just have a bone to pick with Konami in general. There was some people like Konami is so back, and I've like,
Those people are
like,
insane.
I'm like people even before like they really started coming back. It's like guys, the last two games were like Metal Gear Survive, and the last Contra game was also really bad. The Contra Road Corps.
Rogue Corps.
Yeah, like the 3D. I was like, people, we cannot trust Konami. And outside of the Metal Gear like remake, it doesn't. I'm back. I'm like, what were we expecting?
Yeah, it's like MGS3 remake and
Yeah,
Silent Hill F, which I'm like interested in.
Oh yeah, and that one. And I'm like, I trust Metal Gear because of I think
It's the same game.
and yeah, and it's guy I can't remember their names, the Virtuos. Yeah, so
Virtuos, yeah.
which people seem to like think like yeah they do good. So and we've seen it like a bit of it. So
And then we're the rare games coming to NSO, and this pissed me off because I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get the good rare games, and they gave us the fucking scraps. Literally, all the rare games nobody gives a shit. Like Pro 8M. Killer Instinct on SNES, not the 64 version. We got the SNES version. Snake Rattle and Roll in the Battletoads on SNES, not the NES version that the people actually played. And fucking Blast Corps? That's the one you chose? Nobody plays Blast Corps.
You did not see my Twitter blow up about Blast Corps.
And some people like Blast Corps.
Yeah, a lot of people like Blast Corps.
Weirdos.
And also,
I don't trust this.
The
That
Killer
is-
Instinct SNES version was the last version of the game to not be available on modern consoles. So now every version of Killer Instinct is out. So that's why some people got excited about that.
But I'm just surprised that it's not the N64 version too. Like that's the one people actually know. I hate Ro. But yeah, okay. Listen, Blast Corps. Maybe people like it. I don't know. It's just like you still have like Perfect Dark that's not on there. Banjo Tooie, fucking Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong 64. You have several N64 games that you have not put on there. Like, why is Blast Corps the next one? And then the whole direct ended on Endless Ocean Luminous. I don't actually know too much about this. This is a Wii franchise. I saw some people very passionately excited about this. This isn't my type of game. I don't know much about it. I tried to do some research on it, and it's a very interesting franchise.
It just seems like you go diving and that's about it, and you catalog fish.
Yeah, if there was like a fish monster that you can fight in turn-based or Souls-like combat, then I'd be into it.
I was about to say, where's the Sekiro combat?
Yeah, exactly. Just add Sekiro combat to every game, and then every game's good. That's all. That's what I've said. Apparently, the first game came out in 2007. That is very surprising. Huh? But yeah, that seems to be everything in the partner showcase. I mean, we could just do final scores. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. It's a partner showcase. I don't know what we're ever expecting out of these things. That's what I always say.
As someone who didn't watch it, 3.
It doesn't
Damn,
matter the
Fusion.
score.
Give it
It's
a
just random
4.
fucking games.
I don't know. But the problem is the things I liked, I probably won't play on the Switch, like Penny's Big Breakaway and Unicorn Overlord. I guess a 5 probably. It just has the
Yeah.
problem that like you look back and it's like I said, like the things that are new, like I don't think most of us come out on Switch because most of them are multiplayer, and everything else is like remasters, especially if stuff none of us seem to really be up for, except for Star Wars.
But yeah, Battlefront's on everything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that
don't worry.
also, right?
Yeah. It's just like when I'm always surprised when people say like, "Man, this partner direct was disappointing." It's like, guys, they're partner directs. They're always bad. I don't know what you're expecting out of these things. But yeah, that's everything in regards to partner direct. Real quick, people were thinking that Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. You know, I'm not gonna say people. Bench was saying Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake was gonna be here. What the fuck was that about? It's gonna be at a full direct. It's not a full direct. It's not gonna be at a partner showcase.
Is that being made by like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, it is
I don't know
Square
the
Enix. I'm
developers.
assuming it's. I was assuming it's the Octopath. What I forget. Live Alive studio. I think they just like
Oh, a
they
Team of
put out.
Soba?
Yeah, they just put out like a game last year. I don't know why people are like. He expected it to come out last year. He was. I don't know why he thinks like this thing's on the way. They never talk about it, but. I don't know what to think about it.
I can't see anything about who's developing it, like what studio is. I don't think it's Team Asana though. I think this is a separate project within Square Enix. Maybe it's like an
Wait.
internal team.
Square's just like we're gonna teach someone else how you do that art style. We need to make
I hope so.
we need to make as many of these games as we can, which I'm fine with.
Moving on. We kind of alluded this with the direct, but now Xbox games. They have officially revealed what the games are and their release dates. We got an Xbox Wire post with this. New platforms, new players, 4 fan favorite Xbox games coming to Nintendo Switch and Sony platforms. And I'm just going to read off the full games. Pentiment from Obsidian Entertainment, a truly unique, critically acclaimed, and award-winning narrative adventure game with a striking visual style inspired by history itself, will be coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch on February 22nd. Hi-Fi Rush, the award-winning and beloved rhythm-based action game where the world syncs to the music from Tango Gameworks, Bethesda Softworks, will be coming to PlayStation 5 on March 19th at midnight UTC, with pre-purchase available on PlayStation 5 digital storefronts on February 22nd. And I should mention, for Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, Limited Run has said they will do physical releases, and the Pentiment pre-order is already up. Grounded, also from Obsidian Entertainment, a co-op survival action adventure phenomenon, has welcomed 20 million players that none of us know will be coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch on April 16th. Crossplay will be supported across all platforms. And then finally, Sea of Thieves, the shared world adventure game from Rare, will be coming to PlayStation 5 on April 30th and will be available to wishlist by PlayStation 5 players starting tomorrow on February 22nd. I will mention, it is interesting. This doesn't have a PlayStation 4 version. This is PS5, no Switch either. So that water must look really good. Having built a passionate community of more than 35 million players across the world, the support of crossplay for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC will allow players to experience epic pirate adventures with friends on more platforms. Now, of course, we kind of knew that these games are coming because of the leak, but now they have officially stated it. Very clear that this was a situation where they were waiting until Nintendo wanted to reveal Pentiment and Grounded. It seems like Nintendo was just like, you don't get to reveal them yet. We have our own thing going. But yeah, it very much, this kind of opens the floodgates. We'll see where this goes from here. But these are the 4 games. I wonder where it goes from here. What do you guys think? Beef, I actually really want to know your opinion. I haven't heard your thoughts on this whole Xbox thing.
Well, I'm unfortunately not too spicy, unfortunately, because I've, over the years, just kind of, like, I've grown past the exclusive care. Like, I realize a game being exclusive doesn't benefit me as a consumer in any way. So I just am fine with these games going, like, multiplat. They don't, because, it's not a big problem for me. I've already played all of them, and I got them for cheap because they were on Game Pass, so I'm completely fine with all that. I'd recommend basically all of them, although weirdly, even I don't really like Grounded. That's the one I don't really like, but I don't like many of them survival games. So I'm not even sure if I'm gonna pick up any of the physical editions. But everyone here probably knows I'm a massive Sea of Thieves fan, so I will
Game of the
finally be.
generation.
Yeah, I'll pick that. Unfortunately, probably gonna be the dickhole many people meet, but we'll see. I'm not usually mean on the game, but it'll be nice to see, play with other people jump in, see what they think about it.
Yeah, this definitely, these 4 games make the most sense. I mean, Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, those were not selling Xbox consoles, and Sea of Thieves and Grounded benefit from more players, because of their online nature.
Well, and the one last thing is, I was like, Pentiment is like, I know people talking about it, but I feel like the amount of people talking about is been massively much more than people are actually gonna buy and play it on, at least PS4. I feel like it makes a little more sense on the Switch, like, 'cause it's so like reading heavy, but it is a
It
very like
definitely felt
niche
more
game.
like a Game Pass game.
It's good for Game Pass, and it's good for if it at second after that is like on a handheld. So I we'll see how, but which is why I'm also like, that's fine. We'll see how many more sales it gets.
Yeah, I'm not
It's funny.
interested in any of these. I mean, I've already played Hi-Fi Rush. Now, if the limited run Hi-Fi Rush bundle actually comes with some like cool shit, then I might just pick it up just to get the cool shit.
Yeah, same.
But I have no desire to rebuy any of these games, especially because they're all on Game Pass. So why purchase them? Why spend money on them when I could just access them on my Game Pass? But also, actually, that's just about it.
This is very much for the people that have a PlayStation and a Switch, and I think Hi-Fi Rush was that. I'm surprised that's not coming to Switch. It seems like that's the case where they couldn't get it to run on 60. Maybe that's a Switch 2 launch title. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the rumor right now, is that it's being pushed for Switch 2.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, listen, I hope it comes to Switch because I think that game actually benefits from a Switch audience. It very much looks like a Switch game.
Far and away, that's probably the most one I'd recommend to people who do not have a PC or Xbox. Yeah, it's Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, I think they've said like the entire game like needs like 60 FPS just to like run with the rhythm, and I'm sure like any like frame drops or lag is like an issue with the rhythm. So I don't know. I was like, I think I've told people in our Discord, I was like, guys, I don't think it's coming to Switch. I think that we heard that got canceled, so I was surprised a lot of people are still hoping.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how these games do sales wise. I hope the sales are good because from what I heard, Hi-Fi Rush did not sell the hottest. I think actually coming to PlayStation and eventually Switch 2, that's much bigger audiences on both of those platforms.
I mean,
Hopefully
any
can get it onto
like
more
even if it's
hands.
not like giant sales, any sale on PlayStation or Switch is more sales.
Yeah, and it benefits like Microsoft. You know, they get that 70%. Sony gets a straight 30% cut. Same with Nintendo, which that 30%, that is like crazy to think about. Like all the platforms do that. Steam does too. It's just like, damn, they just take 30% of this like sale. That is insane to think about. Well, yeah, I'm very interested to see where Xbox goes from here. I don't think we would get any more ports by the end of this year. Like at least like by the end of the year, I don't think you're gonna see like, oh, now we're adding this old Xbox game to PlayStation and Switch. I think they're kind of sticking with these four. See what this, see how these do. If it works out for the audiences, and if it does, maybe more in the future. That's kind of my theory at the moment. Moving on. Moon, Pokemon presents our
I'm
favorite
ready
gaming company.
for depression.
This comes from the Pokemon Twitter account. Did somebody say Pokemon Presents?
No, no one did.
Tune into our official YouTube channel at 6 a.m. PST on February 27th. Why the fuck is it at 6 a.m.? That's 8 a.m.
Oh, that's
for me.
late.
How
I
excited
have to
were
be
we?
up for it, and I'm upset about it.
No, same here. All right. I mean, what's our expectations? Bench
In
seems
the gutter.
pretty adamant. Well, yeah, but like, what are the games? Bench and I think Dark as well. They seem pretty confident. Black and White remakes are the thing.
I mean, they posted the images of the dragons earlier in the month.
Yeah, they're very likely
It's
going to
gonna
be
be the
there.
black and white remakes.
I'm just not happy with them.
What's it gonna look like? Is it gonna be?
It's
Team
gonna just
Milka?
look like fucking Shining
It's either gonna
Diamond
be
and Brilliant Pearl.
pixels, or it's gonna look like Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl.
And it's probably
I
gonna be
don't know.
Guys, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Come on, guys.
I don't know if they'll show, but I do think that there is another Legends game, but I don't know if they show it here.
That's kind of my question.
do
is if
need-
that Legends Kyurem game is
They
this?
most Pokemon Presents have at least one tease of something, like teasing Legends Arceus, teasing the next Scarlet Violet. Like we don't get full blown trailers, but we get like a tease. So
In that case, it'll probably be black and white remake, and then the tease for Legends, whatever it'll be
that's-
called, because I haven't
that's
played
the
through black
most
and white
likely
fully yet.
scenario. They go into like a full dive saying, "Here's the Black and White remake. Here's all the shit from Black and White 2 that you're not getting," and then they're gonna have like a tease for Legends Kyurem.
That was a question I was
That's a
gonna
different
ask.
game entirely.
So yeah, here's the thing I was gonna ask: would they ever remake Black and White 2? Or is it just like, that doesn't exist?
No, they're
What
gonna
if
pull
they,
a Mario Galaxy and no Mario Galaxy 2.
What if they
Stop
merge them into
remembering.
one game? Would that even work? I don't know.
That would basically be like you have to start up the game and it's kind of like a game select screen because those are two different games.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool though.
It would
You
be
think
nice.
they would do that?
No, it's a good idea, so
is
they're
there-
not gonna do it.
Has there been another Pokemon where it has like a sequel?
Not in
Or
the
is this
main
the first one?
lines.
No, not direct sequels.
No,
You
like
can
some of the
maybe argue
spin-offs-
Ultra Sun, but nah, not really.
Yeah, that's like an alternate. Like
Yeah,
that's
no,
like an
that's like
enhanced
the
version.
ultimate version of it. That's like
Yeah.
the platinum. I'm talking about like a sequel, like Black
No,
Yeah,
not in the
those are-
mainline games. I mean, some of like the side games, like Pokemon Ranger, had direct sequels, but none of the mainline
XD.
games. XD Gale of Darkness, yeah. So spin-offs get direct sequels, but none of the mainlines do.
Random question. Do you guys remember when they revealed Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl? I still remember when I was watching it. I'm like, finally, Gen 4 remakes, and then we saw it was the Chibi art style. I was like, oh, wow.
I mean, I
It's
don't
just like,
mind the chibi
it's a
art style
blast.
because it definitely works for the kid-friendly that they go for Pokemon. It's just it was just the lack of anything
platinum.
interesting. No platinum, just no anything in general. It's literally just the exact same game with a different art style. And when I'm okay with the art style. Like if they did Black and White remake and it's the chibi art style, but they actually like do something different, like at least Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire had like the megas and the
Delta.
flying on Latias and the extra story and the
Delta episode.
Delta episode. So at least if there was like something like
They had
that,
stuff
in
from
this,
Emerald.
yeah. So it did. So as long as they did something like that, I'd be perfectly fine with a black and white remake. But after what happened with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I don't have any faith now.
I don't know. But this is we were just talking about. This is the first time that we're gonna be hit with like this game having a sequel, and I feel like they're gonna do something about that. I don't know what the fuck they'll do. But I feel like they're gonna try something.
I mean, it is the Mosaic Game
Always
Fair
have
thing
your
to just milk it and just be like, here's black
What
and
if-
white, and here's black and white 2 next year.
I don't know if they'll do. No, I don't. But I think next year is RCS. I'm pretty set on that. But maybe they'll release Black and White 1 earlier, and then I don't know if they'll do that either. Maybe you get 2
I've
Pokemon
followed-
games this year.
I followed this company for over a decade. I feel like at this point, I finally understood their pattern, and the pattern is to never get excited for anything they do.
Yes.
That's the very smart thing to do. They don't. If as soon as you start dreaming, turn it off. Let's go back to
Well, it's
reality.
not really dreaming. I'm just looking at it from like the standpoint where this is the only game that I know of that has a direct sequel. Unless they just gotta be like, yeah, that shit don't exist.
That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna pull the Mario Galaxy 2 shit.
Also, can we just like immediately shut down? These people are trying to say Pokemon games are going to come to NSO. Can we just shut that down immediately right now? That's not happening.
It's never gonna happen.
Like, we want it, and it's not going to happen. Yeah, very excited. They're probably going to show off a lot of like side stuff, like
Oh yeah,
here's
there'll be a
new
bunch of mobile updates
Pokemon
because they have a
Unite.
million mobile games.
and Pokemon Unite, Magikarp Splash, or what was it, Magikarp Jump?
Yeah, it was
That was a
Jump,
weird
yeah.
game. Yeah,
They're
very
gonna
curious.
have that Darkrai as a limited time event where you have to play in the 3rd day of the first week. And he's never coming back.
I'm
I
very
gotta love
excited.
mobile gaming.
Moving on. Borderlands! Let's go! Dark, you hyped?
You know, in the trailer, I mean, I'm not even gonna like in the trailer. They said like they were going off the people who made this, and this is from the people who made the producers of the live action Sony movies, and you can tell just from looking at this, like you know where this movie is gonna end up landing.
Fusion, isn't it crazy how like the first sentence he immediately mentioned Sony?
No,
Sounds
no,
obsessed.
but Sony's live action movie department sucks ass. They're terrible. Their animation studio is good, but their live action department makes some
Like
of the
Jim
worst
Ryan's fault.
movies with
It's
IPs I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that these people, but keep in mind, this team is also getting the Zelda movie, and I think they're getting the Naruto movie now too, which is kind of like confirmed. We need
You're
to stop
saying
letting
this-
these people get fucking movie IPs.
You're saying this? Sony's movie department made Pixels.
They made what?
They made Pixels. Remember that? one?
Pixels, like 10 years ago.
The fuck is-
and
How do
Adam
we know what
Sandler?
Pixels is?
You do not. Come on, you don't know Pixels? It was the Adam Sandler movie. It had the big old Pac-Man in it.
Pac-Man.
It's like one of the worst movies ever made.
Hey, bro, it's kind of fun.
It's
I'm
like
blanking on it right
So
now.
I just want
it's
to
fun
say
in a
that
bad way.
Naruto is not from Sony; it's Lionsgate. So
No,
there's
the people who making it, the director is the same guy. I just checked.
Okay. Thought you were talking about the company. Okay.
No, it's the same people. It's like 3 people who work on all these movies, and I don't know why they gotta make the Zelda movie too. And it's gonna look exactly the same. The
Yeah,
only
I don't-
positive thing to come from this, in my opinion, is that this is all for promoting Borderlands 4. And there's a lot of evidence showing that Borderlands 4 is gonna get revealed at PAX East, with most likely a release date for sometime this year. But if Borderlands 4 fails, this company's dead. It's over.
So wait. You're saying okay? You're doing all this wrestling from the producer of Uncharted, Spider-Man, and Venom. Come on, those are like that's one good movie, but 2 good movies.
What's the second good movie?
I'll let you decide. This Spider-Man was good.
Uh-huh.
I liked the Uncharted movie. I thought it was fun.
It was okay at best.
You didn't watch it. You didn't. You know, you watched it with like hate in your eyes. It's like I know this is based off of Sony.
No, but the thing is,
hate
I like
Sony.
watching like when it comes to like licensed movies. I like watching that. I like my Marvels. I like both live and anime. But this team, this set of people, sucks so fucking bad. They need to stop getting these movies.
I don't
I
see
thought
the
the,
team
I
here.
thought the
I
Marvel.
see
I
the-
thought the Marvel dude was getting Naruto.
Yeah, he's the director. It's the Shang-Chi director.
Oh.
The only Sony connection I see is it's Avi Arad as a
Yeah.
producing team, but I don't know if he's like a direct producer.
He's a director, I think.
That dude probably doesn't
No,
even
he's just
look
a
at the movie.
producer.
No,
He
yeah.
just gets paid money to
on
be
his
there.
on this is wiki. But it says that he's a director here.
It's the Shang-Chi director.
There's no, it's directed by Eli Roth for Borderlands.
Yeah, it's Eli Roth who's like the body horror
Yeah.
director.
That is such a weird choice. No, but
Well,
Avi Arad is
if
just
you
a
want to dive
producer.
into the trailer too, Roland in the Borderlands universe, Roland is arguably the most serious character in the entire series, and Kevin Hart's playing him.
Kevin Hart's a
Whoa, wait,
serious
are we
man.
disrespecting Kevin Hart? Come on,
That's a
man.
No,
serious
Kevin
guy.
Hart
That's-
is fine as an actor. He is not meant for this role.
Thing
That's
is
one
though,
of
he's not
two
doing the
actors I
usual
recognize.
Kevin Hart stuff in this.
He seems to be a
See
bit
the
more
trailer? He
serious.
is.
Come on.
He's not doing his typical yelling thing, so he's doing something different here.
No, this movie is dead on arrival.
I'm not saying I'm not
The real
arguing that.
the
but
real
I'm-
question is if Randy Pitchford is in this movie, which I have a
He's
high
gonna
suspicion that
have a
he
cameo.
is.
There's no doubt in my mind. He's gonna feel like he's fucking Stan Lee. He's gonna have a Stan Lee ass cameo.
And speaking
he's like,
of Randy
I'm not
Pitchford,
cool.
the devil himself, he said that this is the beginning of a cinematic universe.
The
Who asked for
BCU.
this?
Are you guys hyped?
Um,
Everything's a cinematic universe.
You know, what's funny was I like the trailer. I wasn't too down on for most of it, and then that stinger at the end. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is shit.
Real
This
quick.
is bad. This is disrespectful to the IP.
Listen, the IP hasn't really been
This
respected.
IP is
in a few
already
years
in the
now.
trenches, and you ain't helping it.
I hate to be this guy. I really do. Who's Kate Blanchett?
I
I've
don't
never
know.
heard of this person.
Very high profile.
Okay, so I'm not
actress.
crazy. Oh, okay. So
No,
she's
I don't
not-
know who she is either.
Oh, I'm just gonna
Okay,
pull up
so-
her IMDb.
Like
This
there
is
is
the
people
top
like if you were to sit down and analyze this trailer, just like seeing like the little Easter eggs and like they did such a bad job of representing the characters. Lilith doesn't have her tattoos as a side. Like what the
I just
fuck
wanna
is
point
going
out-
on?
I know two of the main cast. So, like, I know two of the actors. That's more than usual for me. So, hey, you know what? I think this movie could be pretty good.
I
I mean,
think
Kate
Jack
Blanchett's
Black is Claptrap.
mostly known
is
for
a-
because of the Lord of the Ring movies.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, I didn't watch
Jack
this.
Black as Claptrap makes sense in terms of
Jack
cast.
Black's great in everything. I'm
Yeah,
excited just to
that's a
see
good
him.
cast, but everyone else is like I don't even know who the fuck y'all.
I don't know if you said it, but Bobby Lee is in this movie.
Oh yeah, I saw him in the trailer. That was a random ass cameo.
I love Bobby Lee.
Yeah, Bobby Lee's great. But yeah, that was Borderlands. Get
Jamie
excited,
Lee
guys.
Curtis is always amazing.
Yeah, PAX East is.
Oh, yeah,
that's
Jamie
when
Lee
they're gonna
Curtis.
announce 4. That's what all this is for.
Borderlands 4. We excited?
No,
If
No.
if this game doesn't hit, the series is dead. Or maybe the company too, because Embracer can't take that much more.
Embracer's really relying on Borderlands 4 to succeed. Let's be real here.
This is kind of like a do or die game to be.
Exactly. Moving on. This is kind of an update of sorts to a story that we had, I think, last week. This is from VGC, from Chris Scullion. Sony president wants Bungie to be better at assuming accountability for development timelines. During a Q&A session following Sony's latest financial results briefing, Totoki was asked for an update on Bungie and whether he had any initiatives planned for the studio in the next financial year. Totoki replied that while he was impressed by Bungie's ability as a video game developer, he felt it could make improvements from a business perspective. Quote, I visited the Bungie studios and had meetings with the management, he said, and I saw the employees working at the studios were highly motivated, showing great creativity as well as an impressive knowledge of live services. However, I also felt that there was room for improvement from a business perspective with regard to areas such as the use of business expenses and assuming accountability for development timelines. I hope to continue the dialogue and come up with some good solutions. When Totoki originally answered this question last week, the live English translation provided by Sony referred to PlayStation Studios in general. However, Sony has now released a new official translation, which it says, quote, is intended to replace the simultaneous translation of the question and answer session previously provided. Now, Fusion, we talked about this one, and I'm very curious. How much do you think this frames? Like, what is Totoki's viewpoint? Is he very much like focusing down on like frustration within Bungie and how they're doing from a business perspective, and like that's why he specifically named them?
Yeah, I think it's Well, when you gotta think they bought Bungie for what 3.2 billion. Like it was a lot of money to bring
Yeah, like
Bungie
3
in,
billion.
and the fact that like they've been pretty mediocre as not even just the content, but the way Destiny's been rolling out the content. Like it feels like every single time they announce like an expansion, it gets delayed, and like I feel like Bungie as like a whole, even on like the community side, have been like less communicative with like their community, and like I just feel like Bungie's in this weird spot. And then you have Marathon that was supposed to be like a 2020 end of 2024 game, and like that game nowhere near. Like it's just disappeared off the planet. Like that's 2025 somehow. It just feels like Bungie's been in like a I don't know if it's laid back casual or if they just don't care about deadlines as strict as maybe Sony wanted them to when like they grab them, and it feels like now someone like Hiroki's coming in there and saying, "Hey, if you guys don't get your stuff together, we're just going to take you over," or like we're just like because I feel like they've given them a lot of chances, and I'm someone here who's like not a Bungie like apologist because I don't really play Bungie games, but I feel like Bungie's still like phenomenal at what they do, and like they still have all the talent in the world, but it does feel like nothing they release in recent memory feels quality anymore, and it feels like it's getting bigger gaps between everything they release also. Like we're waiting longer and longer for everything next Bungie has. Which PlayStation's probably like, we have you as a live service as a company, we need more from you. Like Bungie should be bringing them in the most money.
I think they're very disappointed that they bought Bungie. I think it's very clear, like they are not happy with the state of Bungie. Beef, you had something?
Oh, I was gonna say that whole like acquisition does feel like really troublesome now. I think what makes it worse in my mind is it feels like the way Bungie does live service is like is like those are like the live services that are getting so much pushback, like Suicide Squad, where it's like so heavily monetized, and it's only made worse by like then you have Arrowhead with Helldivers, and they just it's still a live service, but they were like, oh, just make it fun, and it's like has higher concurrence on Steam than Destiny 2 ever had, so it's like it feels like I don't know what the damn Bungie's like kind of in this weird spot now where they're like, aren't they nice? Obviously, although the framing of the question I did also worry about because I was like, or not, or the response is like, hey, just why not you just make games faster? And I'm like, that's also like, oh god, that's not gonna make things better for this relationship.
Very business sense relationship where it's like,
Yeah.
hey guys, you're doing good things, but money, where's my money?
This whole thing sounded like how Square Enix was talking about their Western studios before they dropped
Oh, that is
Oh
yeah,
my
that's a
God,
good
yeah.
comparison.
Like it's very forbidden. It feels like that, and it feels like it's a situation where they bought Bungie, and if things would have worked out with factions and whatever else they had planned that got scrapped, they would have been praising Bungie right now. But since it didn't, they're like, yeah, Bungie sucks ass. You ain't doing it. Because they knew full well what Bungie was doing. You know, like I don't even know if Bungie had an expansion from the time they got bought. So like they know what
They
the
had
fuck
one
they've been.
coming up. I think it was a weird thing.
It was like
When did they buy them? I forget. It was
it was like
2021 or
right there.
2022?
2021, February.
2021.
I
So
forget. I think
Sony
one
fully
came out.
knew what Bungie was like pumping out at the moment.
no, well, the expansion before that was Witch Queen.
I would say
That's
by
why
the time like
that one was
they
really
were
good.
doing really well with their expansions. It's like since they've been acquired, it's like they have decided to just lay back. It's like they got all that
Witch Queen
money,
was
and
a
then they were like,
standout.
eh.
Because before that, that shit was ass too.
Was it? I think
No,
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
was.
I
pretty
love
heavy.
that.
Witch Queen stood out because it was actually good, but before that, everything was ass.
I don't think that's true. I don't trust you. Hang on. Let me look
I
at the
love the
expansion.
first 2 expansions I played. So
I'm probably
I
like
don't
the
know.
biggest Destiny player here, bro. You could look it up.
Oh, wow. Man said, I'm the biggest fan here. Hang on. So before Witch Queen was Beyond Light, and then Shadowkeep Armory
And
Collection.
Shadowkeep was that real. What the fuck?
Yeah, but Shadowkeep was before it, and then after Shadowkeep was Beyond Light, and then it was Witch Queen. I mean, like even then, like you could talk about the quality of the game, but like it was making money. That was
Witch
really
Queen
what it
was a
was.
year after Bungie was acquired.
Oh yeah. So like, they were making a lot of money, and they made even more money after Witch Queen. So yeah, I don't know.
Wait, so yeah, this makes even less sense. It's just literally Sony saying, "Yeah, you fucked up with the factions thing," and then it brings into question, why did you even listen to Sony, to Bungie? But you know,
no, Dark. What we're saying is that they bought Bungie before Witch Queen. So at the
yeah,
time, it made sense for them because they wanted to make live service games, and Bungie was doing well with their live service. And I personally don't think they should have listened to Bungie in regards to factions. So I agree with you there. But even then, it's like it made sense from a business
wait,
perspective
they bought them.
in their mind if they were going into live service. I'm not defending their decision to go into live service. I want to point that out. I don't like that they went into live service, but in their mind, they went into live service and they were like, we need a live service expert. Bungie is the expert because they just put out like this one expansion that was really good, and then the next expansion was even better. So it made sense from a business perspective at
So
that
then,
time since they wanted to get into live service. Now they fully regret it.
so since Witch Queen, which came out after they got purchased, they pumped out one more expansion, right?
Yes. No,
And
they did
and
Witch Queen and then it was Lightfall.
and like falls the current one that we're on right now, right?
Yes, Lightfall was the latest, and then
Sony's
Nexus
just
Final
dunking
Shoot.
on them because of how bad Lightfall is. It sounds like the Square Enix situation all over again. That's what it is.
I think it was Lightfall, and like just like after that, like a lot of the updates past that, and even I think before Lightfall
I
came
mean,
out,
the expansion is really like the real meat and potatoes. The updates are just not even
I think
anything crazy.
it really comes down to Final Shape disappoints or succeeds for them.
I mean, they're bringing back Cade 6. Like, if you gotta bring Cade 6 back, you have something wasn't going right.
They're
If they're like, oh
desperate.
no, we gotta bring Cade back, man.
They just lost Zavala too. Which is, granted, that's not their fault, but
Yeah.
you know.
No, of course. Moving on. Fusion, this is a big one for you. No Rest for the Wicked. We got some details on this bad boy. Okami Games did a good write-up. IGN first. No Rest for the Wicked is more Dark Souls than Diablo. Combat is deliberate and tactical with a health bar and stamina bar. Goal is to make combat feel less spammy than traditional ARPGs. Boss fights, that's just a bullet point. I don't know why that's funny to me. A wide variety of weapons, daggers, hammers, bows, and more. Each unique weapon can also have different stats and enhancements to set them apart. Each weapon has different runes to unlock combos. Cook food, Breath of the Wild style for heals. Instead of mana, there's a focus meter, which increases as you do better. Every class uses focus for their special abilities, and we get a full gameplay showcase coming March 1st. And below this, we also got an early access launch is currently targeting April to June 2024. Now, this is the Ori developer. If you guys don't know, it's Moon Studio. Which, by the way, Moon, congrats on making a studio. Shout out to you, man. But this is a developer I've always been interested in. I have not played the Ori games, and looking at this gameplay, I am very intrigued by this one. Fusion, you're a big fanboy of the Ori games. Does this do anything for you?
Yeah, I think you should respect it a little more.
What do you want me to do? I
I
haven't
thought,
played them.
like, we were talking about this, and no, I'm talking about this game. No Rest for the
Oh,
Wicked, because like you just saw the gameplay like 2 hours ago. Like the whole week,
yeah, and I
me and
think it
Bop
looks
were just
great.
gassing it up, and you're like, I didn't care. Um,
I was busy. I didn't say like,
yeah,
oh, it looks bad.
but if
I
I
just
don't
said,
know about this dude's magic tricks, I could. um,
that's a whole ass separate conversation. You know it.
um, yeah, this looks awesome. I think I was fully in from that first trailer. Like when we did our Sagi's most anticipated, it was my fourth. It was my fourth game after one trailer at the Game Awards. Should have told you like how much I was into it, and like I thought this little gameplay thing they did with IGN and like all the details we're getting, and just like it's just I don't know. It's like the Ori games are really good, so it's going to be and this is a totally different type of genre and everything they're doing. But like I can't imagine that this game won't have the polish and the quality that like the Ori games had. And I feel like if they land those in this ARPG genre with their twist of it being like, hey, we're gonna go more Dark Souls and you actually have to like care about your combat encounters, it could go crazy. But no one here. Well, I guess like are you like Dark? Are you into this game at all? As someone who's like you like Diablo?
Yeah, I'm into it. The gameplay looked pretty cool. I mean, I'm just waiting for the full game to come out though to really make an opinion on
Yeah,
it.
you won't jump into early access.
When is the early? I don't even fucking know.
I think he said April. It got
If it
April.
comes out, play it.
April, Mayish, because they have the big bloat. Like they have March 1st, which is next week. They're doing like their big event for it, which I'm assuming is gonna show like. I'm assuming that's when we get the release date of like the actual early access and everything. I'm holding out that it somehow hits this year, like
This
very
isn't
late this year.
I could see it this
this.
year.
This isn't a game I'm like at the edge of my seat keeping track of. This is like one of those games where like when it drops, I'm like, okay, time to go play it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
You didn't ask me how I felt about
No,
it.
I wasn't done yet, Moon. I was getting to you. As the non-Dark Souls fan or Souls fan in general, Moon, how do you feel about what they said about it being more Souls-like?
I mean, it looked interesting, and it being the isometric style makes, I don't know why, but it makes me more interested than the third-person action-y of a Souls game. Plus, didn't they say there was difficulty options in this?
I do not think
I don't
they
know.
said
I
anything
don't
about
know if they said it.
That's where I think I
it.
read it, but I could be wrong.
I assume.
I assume they
I'd be
would too.
surprised.
I'm like, or I forget if Ori has difficulty options. I think it does.
I can't remember.
I mean, Ori's not like
Maybe?
known for being a difficult game, right?
It was a
No,
difficult
Ori's
platformer.
Yeah, Ori is a pretty difficult platformer.
Okay, so not difficult for me then.
Maybe.
Kidding.
I don't know. You'll never play it to find out.
But I'll give it a shot.
I'll
like,
play it.
Is the early? I'm guessing the early access is only on PC.
Most likely, but like Game Pass does like early access sometimes.
I would
So
say
I wanna be
I feel like
sure.
consoles have been getting more early access.
Yeah, if it comes to the Game Pass or something, yeah, I'll try it out. Or I might
Especially
have my
after
PC by
PalWorld.
then, and I'll try it out then.
But yeah, I'm. It's definitely Steam early access, but I wonder if. Yeah, it looks like from this IGN article, it seems like early access is only PC.
Yeah, makes sense.
As far as right now, it could change. Like I said, they have that entire event next week. So hopefully after that event, we get like dates and more on like everything that's actually happening in like the roadmap.
Moving on. We got an interview with Big Philly Spencer. This comes from Steven Totillo over on GameFile. Microsoft's Phil Spencer on Xbox growth, recent job cuts, and the future of games on discs. I'm gonna move around, kind of like try to get the main points of the article. One of the big things that he kind of mentions is ditching discs, so the whole physical like preservation. Phil Spencer was asked about it. Phil Spencer and other Xbox executives emphasized certain core promises to gamers during their business update podcast last week. The ability of players to buy a game and own it across Xbox and PC, to have new Xbox consoles still play the games they bought for older Xbox consoles, for save files to transfer across generations. A topic Microsoft skipped, though, was physical media discs. I asked Spencer if Xbox would commit to supporting games on disc. It wasn't a random query. Microsoft, like Sony, already offers one variation of its current gen console that doesn't have a disk drive and requires Why did he? Okay, I'm sorry, Steven Totillo. I just gotta like shout this out. Why are you going over a goddamn fucking history lesson? Just fucking give me his answer. Okay, here it is. Sorry about that, guys. This is Phil Spencer's answer. Spencer wouldn't talk to me last week about the leaked all digital Series X, but said Microsoft will follow what the customers are doing. Quote, we are supportive of physical media, but we don't have a need to drive that disproportionate to customer demand, he told me. We ship games physically and digitally, and we're really just following what the customers are doing. And I think our job in running Xbox is to deliver on the things that a majority of the customers want. And right now, a majority of our customers are buying digitally. When I pressed if Microsoft would release a console without a disk drive, he pointed out the company had already done that with the Series S. I walked into that one, folks. Sorry. But it very much comes off as an answer of right now we're supporting discs. In the future, it kind of seems like they're moving further and further away. And in Phil's mind, it's like, well, most people are buying digitally, and also Game Pass is kind of the majority of things, which is a subscription model. I've already stated I kind of just like except I do not like I've never really saw Xbox as like, oh, they're gonna support physical media. I already accepted they're gonna go away from it. So this is not the fight I want to fight. And then another big thing that was pointed out was the Call of Duty Game Pass update. This was kind of a question: is if Call of Duty was going to come to Game Pass. Microsoft has yet to say when Call of Duty will be added to its Game Pass subscription service, but the flagship Activision Blizzard franchise is still coming, Phil Spencer tells me. Quote, our intent is the full portfolio of games from ZeniMax, Activision Blizzard, and Xbox Game Studios will be on Game Pass day one. He said day one equals when they also go on sale. We're not too surprised. There was that whole question as like, oh, Call of Duty's so big, like maybe it doesn't even get to Game Pass day one. Maybe they want to try to get those sales. But I think it just makes sense most likely. Do you guys think like this year's Call of Duty is going to hit that Game Pass?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I think
confirmed
so.
from the
Yeah, I was
court
gonna say,
cases
yeah.
that is happening this year.
I
Which
think
I'm,
yeah, go ahead.
which I'm honestly, I'm kind of shocked that it's coming to Game Pass. I feel like it's just such a slam dunk for them to just like Call of Duty is going to sell at $70 every single year, no matter the quality of that game. I feel like you just make so much more money just being like, just continue to buy Call of Duty.
Xbox's like game plan right now doesn't make sense for them to do that. I honestly think this Call of Duty is gonna have like the only like resurgence of players you've ever seen because of how accessible it's gonna be now.
It is a Treyarch game, so I guess you gotta.
No, not even just Treyarch, and you having like a game like Call of Duty available on Game Pass for free. It's gonna be fucking huge.
It's definitely going to.
Even if the game is like dog shit, even if the game is like the worst, people would still be playing it.
People bought Vanguard. It doesn't matter. Like it's just like Call of Duty. That's the name.
I think they just have to try it at least. You have to see what it does to. Do people actually buy the console just to play on Game Pass? Do people sign up the Game Pass to play Call of Duty? So I'm sure they just, at the very least, want to see. And it seems like like I think they talked about on that podcast. They were like, we're gonna try to get money out of from PlayStation Nintendo players, and the best of Xbox players is we're not gonna squeeze you, and we're gonna not take away the day one Game Pass game. So I think that's like well, we make money there, so we're gonna try and put Game Pass on, put Call of Duty on Game Pass.
They don't even need to try.
Yeah.
It's a first party studio for Xbox now. They just
Yeah,
slap
I
it in
mean-
there.
You know what it means. It's very much just like
They
they could
They
have
g-
like experimented, but they've gone so far with the day one Game Pass where it's like, okay, we kind of
Mhm.
just like have to do it this way. And hey, I mean, that's exciting. Maybe hopefully this year's Call of Duty is good. It's not
well,
gonna be.
it can't be worse than last year's, which made like a year. Like I feel like it can't be worse.
I mean, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
gonna be an
apparently
actual game and not an expansion, so
Exactly.
this one's Treyarch, if I remember
you're
correctly.
getting
Is this the
turn-based
Black?
zombies back.
I don't know
Is
how
this the
people.
Black Ops 2 one?
This is the
No.
Cold. Yeah,
No,
I
that's
think they did Cold
that's
the
War
next
last.
game.
This is Golf
Oh, this
War.
is Gulf. Oh, Gulf War. Gulf War's hype. Don't clip that. Gulf War. Gulf War's hype.
Yeah.
Too
We'll
late.
see you in the
You know what I mean.
slammer, buddy.
We'll see you in the
You're gonna watch
gulag.
plus now.
But yeah, that's pretty much like the main points I wanted to extrapolate from that fucking giant ass interview. Jesus Christ, Totila. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Steven Totila, but let's
I'm not.
cut it down.
I have nothing
Damn.
wrong with him. I'm kidding. I follow him on Twitter.
He has a lot of like good stuff. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
like,
And
I
then
have
it's like
nothing against
I
him.
use this I use this website and it's like I want you guys to know GameFile is so weird to me because it's like then it's like item 4 OpenAI comes from gameplay videos and then randomly item 6 some advice from Koji Kondo. It's like Koji Kondo? Wait, what's going on? I thought this was a Phil Spencer interview. It's so unorganized. Moving on. Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming has this little write-up. Little Devil Inside developers released new footage and is seeking a new publisher. Little Devil Inside was first announced during the PlayStation State of Play in October 2021. That's not true. That is immediately wrong. It was first revealed at the PlayStation 5 showcase in 2020. God, Tom Henderson, what happened to you, man? A new video by the developer NeoStream shows 6 minutes of new gameplay, with the developers also giving a brief update on its Kickstarter as to the game's progress, which includes the announcement that the game will now be built on Unreal Engine 5. In short, the game isn't canceled and certainly isn't going away. Quote, we have generally started discussions regarding publishing, and once this clears out, hopefully we'll also be able to answer what everyone wants to know. Fusion, did you watch the actual gameplay? Because I
Yeah,
did not have the chance. How does it look? And you think this thing's ever going to come out in a timely manner? Hopefully, no.
I'd hope, but actually, I thought it looked great. I mean, I was always into Little Devil Inside, like when they first showed it. Like, I thought it was very unique, and I liked what they were going for, and I still think it looks great. I think, like, for them to release this out of nowhere and the YouTube title just be "Despite All" or whatever it is, like "Despite It All" or whatever. Like I don't know. It
It's
felt
insane.
like if I was a Kickstarter for this game, because this game's been in work for like since like
10 years.
2015 or something. Yeah, like it's been a long time, and there's been actual like if I was a Kickstarter and this hit my feed, I'd get emotional. I'm like, they're still here, like they're still making this game, because I genuinely like when you get a chance, I would watch this YouTube video because it is 6 minutes of just straight really good stuff. Like I really think this game like can get to like a place where like it's well like it's gonna come out finally, hopefully, and just be like a good video game. Like I don't see anywhere where they're like gonna screw. I mean, it's been a while, but they say in that the article they put out themselves where they're talking about how they've lost a lot of people over the years because the game's taking so long, and they're like they're still a small team and they're just trying to get through it. And there was one point where they were like they weren't sure if they wanted to make it anymore, like if the passion was still there, but the passion has been coming back. Like it's a cool story, like that's being told here. So like I'm rooting for them. And I think like it's one of the most unique indies in the space, like look wise and just gameplay wise.
It was supposed to come out on Wii U. That's how long this has been in development. I really hope it comes out eventually because like I'm very into the like aesthetic of it. I'm a sucker for that claymation kind of look. I just wonder is who would publish it? I mean, they said they're seeking out publishers. Do you think this could be like an Annapurna joint?
Yeah, I mean like Annapurna, like Devolver. I feel like someone could pick them up.
One of the
A
indie
lot of people were
publishers.
shocked that like PlayStation was never publishing this. I'm like, yeah, they were never the publisher behind this game. They just showed it off.
It was very much a hey, we'll show off your trailer, but like we're not
Yeah.
publishing it. Which makes me curious. Did they originally have a publisher?
I looked it up. I don't think so.
Anyone?
No.
That is
Right
very
when they
interesting.
revealed it, there was so I wonder. So yeah, I don't know how all that works. I'm not that
They've-
smart with all that stuff, so I don't know like why they.
I feel like you would look for a publisher quickly, like when you're
Yeah.
starting a game. Interesting.
I really hope the
I-
switch to Unreal Engine 5 doesn't make it like years out. Like I would love if this game dropped like
Oh,
next year
please
at the
no.
latest.
That's like changing engines is a lot of work. That's the thing. I hope for your sake as well that it is not a full on like, oh, okay, now it's 2027. It's like, okay, guys, calm down. Moving on. This is a quick one. Shinobi has this one. Sony is testing PSVR2 compatibility with PC. Quote, we're pleased to share that we are currently testing the ability for PSVR2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more game variety in addition to the PSVR2 titles available through PS5. We hope to make this support available in 2024, so stay tuned for more updates. Is this thing still a priority for Sony? Because I don't think so.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of says a lot when it's like the 1 year anniversary, and I think they only had was a few games, which I don't know if any of them were big, and it's like, we're trying to bring it to PC, but they didn't really have any major announcements.
I don't think this is the best move Sony could make.
Well,
Like if there's a move to make, it's this.
It's one of, I mean, the best move is to make games for it, but also like, if anything, like if you can at least just let's get like some PC games on there that already work on VR, because I think the problem with VR2 is that it's so gated. Like you can't even play PSVR 1 games on there. It's kind of that like PlayStation exclusivity thing that doesn't work anymore because you don't have enough games to make that platform alluring enough.
Yeah, I just don't like. I just don't care about VR enough to like ever get one of these or any of the headsets. So VR is like the space. It's kind of like the mobile gaming space for me, where it's just like I look at it and I'm just like, well, that's enough for me. Like,
You guys have fun.
yeah.
Next up, 2XKO. Riot's Project L is officially titled 2XKO. Wario64 had that, and we got a little YouTube trailer. It looks really good, but man, can I just tell you guys, I really fucking hate that name.
Project L was a better name for this game.
I just don't. It's 2XKO. I feel like 2KO sounds better, but the problem there is you're gonna have to mess with Take-Two and 2K. and they tried to like attack It Takes Two for that name. So you know for a fact they'd
I
get mad.
forgot they did that.
Yeah, so you know for a fact they'd get pissed off if it was like, oh, 2KO? No, that sounds a little too similar to 2K.
I think
It looks fun.
it's way better saying the title than reading it. Like when you read it on paper, it looks real bad. Like it just does not look great. But I feel like when you say it, like it's not terrible. It's still not great. I would have rather actually preferred Project L as the game name, but
Title seems redundant to me because you're gonna say the title to somebody and they're gonna ask what it is, and you'd be like, "Oh, it's Project L," and then you'd be like, "Oh, okay."
It's
Yeah.
just like I have never seen a unanimous agreement of like, wow, this game's title is terrible. Because most people don't even think about the title that much. Well, I mean, the game itself, though, like we saw the actual trailer. I'm
it looked
interested.
cool.
It looks like a fun fighting game, with 2v2 type
Yeah,
style.
you said I was surprised they went like 2v2.
I think they stated that in the initial release for the game.
Oh.
It said it's going to be a 2v2. But yeah,
they're going,
I'm. Go ahead.
they're going for that PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale crowd who insist it's
Okay.
best from.
I wish I didn't let you speak.
No, there was people who insist that game is built for 2v2. So like, that's. But
PlayStation All Stars. That's a game. that's a game I enjoy, but
hey, that's fine.
not for the right reasons. I'm curious like what they're gonna do with this game. I'm very interested in like kind of like the promotion around it. How big is it gonna be? Is it gonna be like maybe not on the level of a Street Fighter 6 or a Tekken 8, but like are we gonna see this at Evo for years to come instead of just like 1 year you want it done? And like how well they'll support this title because like Riot Games is usually really good about supporting their games, especially
Yeah,
with League of
I
Legends.
think this will be around for the next decade.
And
I can already
really
guarantee you, the first season pass is gonna be arcane characters. This is gonna line up with the TV show,
it's gonna be.
and they're gonna get a massive influx of people.
What's the hate with Jinx, bro?
I hate bro. When I played League of Legends, I still remember I played like 3 games of that game, and there was one Jinx player that kept killing me, and I was pissed off. And I was
So now you just
I was like,
hate her
this character
forever.
sucks though.
Okay.
But no, I'm very interested to see where I really like how Riot's like, hey, if you don't like League of Legends, like the way that game's played, now we're doing like spin-offs based off League of Legends characters because they have a lot of good world building in that universe. So I'm very excited to see that.
They'd do anything besides port League of Legends to other platforms.
Get
My
it on
biggest-
Xbox.
The biggest L for me is that this is 2025, which means that League MMO is like years and years and years away. I'm just like so sad.
It's different teams. I don't think it's that far away.
The thing with Riot though is they always release a game like this and then they release them far apart. They've always done it. Like I mean, it's been 4 years since Valorant. Like they always just release a game and then they put like a lot of work into it over the next few years before they ever even think about releasing their next title, even if it's quote unquote different teams.
I mean, consider it a lot of work. They barely do anything, but you know.
Also, yeah, they release like 5 like League of Legends like short games in between like Valorant and this. I don't think it's that crazy to imagine that it's not that far apart. We will see. Very interested. Moving on. PalWorld numbers. We got more numbers out of it. This comes from the official account. Total number of players exceeds 25 million. It's been a month since PalWorld was released. Thank you. On Steam, we have 15 million players, and Xbox 10 million players. We will continue to prioritize fixing bugs and prevent further cheating. Jesus Christ. This is the game that just keeps on selling. I mean, we kind of like said that, oh man, it kind of reached like a peak because it's been a few days and they didn't do an update. I think now I'm realizing that like they probably didn't do an update because it's like we ran out of graphics. We need to make more graphics first before we start doing the updates again because like this is getting ridiculous. I wonder what the longevity of this game is. I hope it stays around for a while because it is a very fun game. I'm curious to see like what they can do with it moving forward. But yeah, if that's everything, moving on.
I don't think anyone has any input on PalWorld.
You know, I work so hard.
The one thing I'll say, I think that one interesting, it'll be interesting when they have like the first big update for like early access to see, are people still into it or was it, a flash? And Flash
A
in the
flash
Pan
in the
is
pan.
kind of Flash in the Pan's kind of like most games would kill for a Flash in the Pan of 25 million in 1 month, but you
Yeah,
know what I mean.
it's more like a
It's
fire
peaked,
in a pan.
it's peaked, and then like people are like, oh yeah, that was good. But
That's
I
Elden
mean,
Ring number right there. It passed them.
yeah.
I'm very excited to see what the future. What you say about the update, like that's kind of the intriguing. Is that update they're gonna frame that as a big deal, and like people are gonna really treat it like a big deal? You're gonna see a lot of streamers kind of go back to it.
Yeah, I think they'll frame it as like whenever the big content update. It's just that's more. I mean, it's like how's like big, like is it gonna be even a slight resurgence? People are like, oh no, it's coming back.
Moving on. Shinobi has this one. Suicide Squad kills the Justice League has quote fallen short of our expectations, says WB, and set them up for a tough year ahead of their gaming business. No shit.
Me and Fusion were talking about this earlier. I mean, yeah, Rocksteady's at fault, but it's not fully their fault. This is Warner Brothers. Because when you know the full story behind this game, it shouldn't have never existed.
Is it? I thought this was like, so they had like fucking 5 canceled projects or something after Batman.
I don't understand how you have a studio like this, but they own them. Like they can only make DC games now. How you have a studio like this that can give you the Batman Arkham trilogy, which at the time was the best superhero games without a doubt, and then they ask to do something and you tell them no. Have they not proven themselves? Like the fuck?
Listen,
I don't know.
The
Me and
only
Doug-
reason that Warner Brothers even acknowledged this and like greenlit Suicide Squad, in my opinion, was because around the time when this was proposed, the movie came out. And they were like, okay, yeah, go do that.
But I don't think anyone liked that movie. I don't.
Yeah, but it's still sold well.
I mean, yeah, but that's like every superhero thing
Yeah.
did well. But to executives, it's like, oh, it's sold well.
That was why me and Dark disagree a little bit. Where I just think like I'm sure Rocksteady, wanted to work on some other things first before Suicide Squad, but Rocksteady was excited to make this video game. Like they were, and they
I don't
and,
think they're not. When you see the amount of shit that they were proposed and set up before, so this was like a very
It's
last.
been 9 years. They could have just put out some trash. They did put out trash. Like they could have just
Takes
stopped
time to
after
fucking
5.
Arkham Knight is still like the best looking game I've ever seen.
Exactly. So why is this game so bad?
So this fucking game is ass. They were trying new shit and it didn't work.
That's my point. They should
And
have just
everybody left.
literally put it out 3 years ago. They should have just put it out 3 years ago and moved on. And instead, they just kept dragging it and kept delaying it and kept delaying it and kept delaying it. For what? For the game to come out and be dead on
I
arrival?
guarantee you there's gonna be a Jason
I don't-
Schreier story in this game.
I don't think they were working on this thing for the full 9 years. I think there was definitely like some games in between then and Arkham Knight. I'm very
Like an
excited to see
VR
what
game?
that
The
Jason Schreier
Batman
is.
Beyond game made it kind of far in terms of like they were working on that, and then Warner Brothers said, "Yeah, you're not doing that no more." That's why we have the concept art and a bunch of other things.
Very excited.
Very
I would
excited
hope-
for Suicide Squad.
Very excited for WB to fuck off for once. You would think after Hogwarts Legacy, you could just go like, oh wow, people will buy a single player game if it's good. Shocking. People buy games if they're good. I know, insane to think about. Maybe they focus on that in the future instead of some live service crap.
The real thing that worries me is that James Gunn, which a lot of people in terms of movies they're praising him, but James Gunn said that this is not the end of the Arkham universe. What the fuck is left of the Arkham universe?
What's left of the Arkham universe? Is
There's nothing left.
I will never understand why this was in the Arkham universe.
Honestly, if this game wasn't in the Arkham universe, a lot of the criticism would be gone. It probably would have sold better.
I mean, you say that, but like, I don't.
Okay,
know
you
how-
say that, but does the average gamer know that? No. They don't know the
No,
difference
it's in the
between the
Arkham universe?
Arkhamverse and the bunch of other universes now.
the average gamer, Dark. We're talking about the person who buys 1 to 2 games a year.
Dude, they
All they
fucking
see is
promoted the shit out of
DC.
this. So it's just at the Arkham universe.
Yeah, and the average
Get
gamer
it.
does
Like,
not paying attention to those interviews.
they're
or
not watching
anything.
that.
They're not even watching trailers. They just see a Suicide Squad game's coming out and they buy it.
They see it on GameStop. Like, no one noticed. I really don't think it would have
I
mattered
mean,
anyways.
no one bought the
Yeah,
game anyway.
it would not have.
apparently.
It wouldn't have made a dent into either reviews or sales or no.
No, in reviews, it would have made the dent.
No, I think this is just a
No.
bad video game.
You don't
No,
say.
because a lot of the problems with this game is how it fundamentally destroys a trilogy that was made.
I don't think a lot of people care about that. So they
Nobody
care if
cares.
it's a good playing game.
I
If
would
it's
just
a
say
good and
half the
fun playing
complaints are
game.
like it's just not fun to shoot or play or do
If
anything.
the game's not good, that's the only negative. I mean, like, if the game's not good, that's why it doesn't sell well.
Rocksteady's washed. I'm putting it up. It's not all on Rocksteady. I just find it so weird that there's not just Dark, but there's a lot of people who are like all the blame's on WB. I'm like, no, you're not
I
a
don't
dev
even say
team.
all the blames on the
I'm not
I'd say
saying you. I'm
Majority
saying
of
I've
the blames on.
seen a lot of people say like it's WB's to blame. Like, no, I don't. You've been working on this game for so long, Rocksteady. Like, come on, own up a little
It's
bit.
the founders left. That kind of definitely put a real dent into it. I think we can clearly see that was the case. I hope by chance just make another Batman game. At this point, like, let's like,
I'm
it's
so sick
clear
of
like
Batman.
He's
I'm
gone,
so
bro.
sick of Suicide Squad. That's what I'm fucking sick of.
I like Suicide Squad when they're done right, but the problem is they seem to be hard to do.
It's like there's like 5 Suicide Squad things like ever happening at one time, and I'm like, okay, guys, let's like the James Gunn one. That's it. That's all I wanted. That was good. I liked it. But that's because James Gunn.
I'm excited for the anime though.
Yeah, that one looks interesting. So real quick, that's all the news. I did want to try out a different segment. We're going to go through this real fast because we're kind of running low on time. But just a quick little review roundup. We want to try this segment out. Fusion was begging me, pulling on my trousers, screaming.
I don't.
Screaming.
Where are we going with this?
I meant to say screaming. He did not.
You're pulling on your trousers and screaming. That's fucking intense.
So no. Let's forget the screaming.
Isn't
Whatever.
Beef Hammer just
Review-
so happy he came on tonight?
Thank you for coming on the show, Beef.
Always.
I want to go over the 2 big reviews, 1 big review, and then 1 more smaller but interesting review roundup. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth reviews came out. It was kind of an interesting thing where like we had all these things come out for FF7 Rebirth, but there was no real news, so we couldn't talk about it on the show, and that's where the idea of the review roundup came out. Just to check real quick on OpenCritic, because Fusion gets mad if I use Metacritic, it is a 93. Which it makes it the 2nd highest rated Final Fantasy game. I think before Final Fantasy 9 is it, which I think is a 94. And then right now, 100% critics recommend. Eurogamer gave it a 4 out of 5. IGN a 9 out of 10. Games Radar a 4.5 out of 5. Easy Allies a 9.5 out of 10. Metro Games Central a 9 out of 10. Game Informer an 8.5 out of 10. GameSpot an 8 out of 10. And Destructoid a 9.5 out of 10. And if you actually look at the overall averages, there's really no yellow reviews if you
Why is GameSpot like always the lowest on everything?
Yeah, Tam Tamor
tough
Hussein
critics,
kind of
man.
talked about it, and he was pretty tough. I'm very interested. He kind of states that there's like issues with the story, kind of goes all over the place. I'm very much excited to check out the game for itself. Fusion, does this get you more or less excited for the game? Okay, if it got you less excited, I'd be like shocked. It's like, no, these reviews are too high. I'm a hipster.
No, definitely. It's very hard to say because the review number itself is great. Like, made me more excited just from like, oh, this is a 93. But like, there's been certain words in people's reviews where they're talking about the open world that like had me just a little scared. A little scared of the whole Ubisoft bloat stuff.
Time
It
to
seems to
ignore
be
a lot
something-
of it.
Yeah, it seems to be something you can mainline, so I don't think it's too much of a worrisome aspect. It was that thing of like watching a lot of the trailers and like looking at like the reviews, hearing people talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, I am actually really excited for this game. Like, I'm not a Final Fantasy guy. I kind of swore off the franchise after 16, but 7 Remake I love. And now with this, it's like, okay, more 7 Remake, more of that combat, that sweet combat system.
My precious.
So good.
It's so good.
I'm very, very excited to check it out. Beef, are you a big 7 guy or a 7 remake?
I weirdly enough, I was like, Ben's gonna be pissed at me because I was like, I feel nothing after the 93, but that's mostly because there's not to say like I dislike 7 remake. I want to replay it. I think because I like the original 7, and I'm looking forward to this. It's mostly again another fatigue of like, God, tonight game this. I just don't want to. But I'm sure when I play it, I'm going to be excited about it. It does concern me a little because the main thing I'm worried about, especially for those who've played 7 remake, is there's gonna be like the story's getting the mud, and i.e. it's a little Kingdom Heartsy. I'm like, oh god, what are they doing here? But it sounds like, like that may just be mostly like towards the end. So we'll see what they do. I'm not like too concerned that everyone else is gonna have like issues with it. I think people are gonna be pretty happy with this. And
I mean, all that's important. Go ahead.
yeah, I say that as someone who hasn't even like unlike but I haven't swapped the franchise. I might be the only person I know who thinks 16 is like fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I might be the only person
that
who's
one.
just like in the middle, like, oh yeah, it's good.
I wasn't big on 16 either.
I think the only person who's like, yeah, it's good. It's very plotting and like feels like it kind of does feel like an MMO team made it, but I mean that obviously in a different team. But so now I'm still excited for this, but I will definitely have to wait and check it out.
I'd be
Real
shocked.
quick.
Not shocked,
Go
but
ahead.
like, it would not shock me if this was Game of the Year come December.
For
But
Game
It's
Awards,
definitely going to be in the
or Game
running, but I
Awards.
don't know about exact winner.
oh, it's
it's
gonna be
I'm
nominated.
very curious what the rest of the year looks like.
Yeah,
before
it
I-
definitely depends on the rest because like we're only
We know
about to
very
be in
little
March,
about the rest of the year.
but it's good. Like a 93 this early, it's hard to beat that high of a score. And I just feel like everyone loves the cast of like Final Fantasy VII, and it's a PlayStation game, so like extra bonus.
PlayStation tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally real thing.
I am a
But the
little
real question
worried.
is,
Oh, go. Let me finish. I'm a little
I
worried
was just going to
because
make a joke if you have something to say.
Okay, then do your joke.
I was just going to say, saying off all these scores, what's the most important one? What is the slice of gaming score?
If it's Bench
We'll
doing
find
the
out.
review, it's a 10. we can't avoid that.
One of these days, we will have a score before a game comes out. Mark my words, one of these days.
Hey man, another
I can
Crab's
give you one
treasure. If
for
you guys are watching us. Beef. What about you? You got
I'm a
something?
little concerned because being a 16 seemed to like also had like a pretty high score, but then by the end of the year there was like more sense about it. So I'm a little worried that maybe there's a similar thing, but I still expect it 40 to get nominated, and it's gonna be pretty hard to be a 93. I don't know. Nothing that's announced right now makes me think it'll be a 93. Even a Fusion's gonna be mad. Even a Silk Song, even if it scored higher, I don't know if Silk Song
It's
would
like a
beat that.
Silk Song.
96. Dial
Silk-
in.
If it even comes out this year,
Wukong can beat
let's
it.
be honest.
If it doesn't come out this year, there's
Look,
no
I don't know
fucking
what
shot.
I don't know what to think anymore.
Wukong, if it hits, is gonna probably beat it.
Oh, I don't believe that. One bit.
Nah.
Nah.
I think
Even if
Wukong at
it
his best
hits,
is at 87.
yeah, and it's gonna be an 87. I love, but like it's gonna be an 87. If we're talking about personal game of the year, then yeah, Wukong could beat it for me.
Tune into the Soggies this December.
Real quick, I just want to point out right now in the 2024 Hall of Fame for Open Critic, Rebirth is at 93, Belatro at 92, Tekken 8 at 90, Infinite Wealth at 89. We're in February, guys, and we're already having this many like high 80s, low 90s
We
games.
eating good. Who said this was a filler year?
Yeah,
Speak
what
up
kind
now.
of silly? Who would say something like that? Am I right?
Speak up now. Which is weird because obviously I'm not hating on these games, but I wonder, do you think Rebirth... I don't think Rebirth drops from that 93 compared to what we saw from like Infinite Wealth and Persona 3 Reload. Both drop multiple points.
I could
think
see
it's
it drop
dropping.
like a point or two just
Yeah.
because if those story elements tend to bug more people, then I could see it drop like a point or two.
It's 99
This is
reviews
Final
right now,
Fantasy
so I
VII.
doubt it.
It's gonna lose points.
I think it'll
It's
lose.
99 reviews, so like, I think
Yeah, but you never. The one. What was
that's a
the other?
majority.
I don't know.
Did you have one other thing to say, Beef, before we move on?
I guess the one that thinks because he's selling games, I think it kind of speaks to, and then conversely, like you see two big games, Suicide Squad and Skull and Bones hit like 60, which like AAA games never hit. I think it's kind of showing like how people are kind of really tired of the trend chasers, and yeah, it's the games that are really just going for their fans, so doing good, which is nice to see. It's nice to see most of these games selling well.
The problem with the trend chasers is the fact how long
They
games
come so
tend
late,
to make.
yeah.
Yeah, they're so late to the trend. If these games
Exactly.
would have come out like 2018, 2019, they probably would have done a little better.
I mean, even then, it's just like, make a good game first and foremost. And if your game isn't good, then people aren't going to want to stay around with it. And then the other review roundup I just want to really quick go through is Pacific Drive. This was a very interesting, the car roguelike. 78 on OpenCritic right now. Eurogamer gave it a 4 out of 5. IGN a 7 out of 10. PC Gamer 86 out of 100. Metro Game Central a 5 out of 10. Games Radar a 3 out of 5. GameSpot an 8 out of 10. And Destructoid a 6.5 out of 10. Fusion, I know you were kind of interested in this. These score kind of like put you off a bit.
They didn't put me off, but they didn't put me on. As in, like, I feel like if, like, Pacific Drive is the type of game for me where it's like, it's an indie that I'm going to look at and be like, if this score is like super high, I'll jump on it day one. But if it just scores fine, like 78 is a fine score. It's a game like there's too many games right now that I can wait on this one. Like this score doesn't like make me disappointed, but it doesn't make me say, hey, I'm gonna buy this game right now.
Yeah, the fact it's not on like a PS Extra like day one kind of made me think, okay, I can wait on this.
And it does seem like the
very
review scores are like very, because I know like Skill Up strongly recommended it. It seems like the review scores are very kind of all over the place. Like you said, there's a 5 out of 10 in there, but there's also like an 8 and an 86. Like
it really
And-
depends on like who's playing it, basically.
Yeah.
If it really scratches it.
And according to our correspondent out in the field, Bob, apparently a lot of these scores, and from him personally, a lot of this is from the jank of it. Like it's a pretty janky game. So maybe it'll be better down the road after some updates. So it's probably best to wait on this game.
We will see. We will
is
see.
this Ironwood's first game?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm like 99% sure. Let's move in to what we've been playing. I'm hoping to go through this a bit quick. You know, we're kind of running late. We're always running late. I'm sorry, guys.
Like this type of episode, I don't know how. Like I look at these topics, I'm like, how did we run late on this one?
We're talkative. We have good conversations. That's what we do around here.
It was all on Nintendo.
Oh my gosh. We'll just do a quick Persona update. So, I'm playing it still. I'm near the end. Moon, you beat it?
I'm literally like on the last week of the game.
Okay, and Beef, you're also playing Persona 3?
Yeah, you guys already beat it. That's
No,
a
I didn't beat
problem. I was like, hey, I'll beat it around the time Wolf and Boone is. I won't be the last. I'm gonna be the last now.
No,
But, yeah.
Dark's the only one that beat it. Me and Moon.
Oh yeah, Bench hasn't beat it. He took a break.
It's like,
I'm
I should have beaten it by now, but like every day this past like 4 days or so, I just got really busy, and so I played for like a little bit. And the fact that I've been I have like this long stretch between I already got to the top of Tartarus and I'm ready to fight the final boss, but it's not gonna happen for like 2 weeks in game, so now
Oh
I gotta
yeah,
kill all this
I forgot
time.
about that.
So I'm just like wasting all this time. I grind for like maybe a day, then I'll just do whatever the next couple days. And by the time I do that, an hour or 2 hours have gone by. I'm like, well, I have to go to bed now. So I'm just
Yeah.
slowly getting through the month.
I'm curious to hear our thoughts. So, after the last week, I was like pretty early on, and right now I'm about, I think I'm 45 hours in. I'm in November. I'm enjoying the game a lot more. I've been playing it a lot over the last week. 45 hours in a week is nothing to sneeze at, but that's just because I love that Persona gameplay loop a lot. And I'm gonna say it right now, I fucking love Tartarus. As someone who like listens
Oh
to
my
podcasts while
God.
playing games, I am a sucker for just that like kind of like monotonous, just RPG grinding, getting like better personas. I fucking love Shuffle Time. Shuffle Time's my shit. I'm a sucker for that. I loved it in 4 and I love it here. And I don't know, like it's curious because like everyone always says like, yo, Persona 3 is amazing, except Tartarus. And for me, it's like I love Tartarus. The other stuff I'm a little weaker on, where the character cast took a while to like really get me interested. And even then, this cast of characters is not my favorite, not by a long stretch. And like right now, like I started out like I wasn't into Mitsuru. Now she's probably my favorite character, but even then, it's like yeah, Mitsuru. I love Mitsuru now, but comparatively, it's hard. It's a tough thing to compare, and I
Yeah,
don't like
it's
comparing. Even with sequels, I'm not the type to do that comparison crap. But even that, it's so hard because these games are pretty similar to each other.
yeah, it's like
Granted,
none of the cast is bad, but it's just they don't stack up when you compare them to the others.
yeah, and I mean, like, it's not a bad thing at all. What everyone says about the game is like, oh, but that story is really good, especially the second half. I'm in the second half, and it's like I'm enjoying the story, but it hasn't fully gripped me.
Have you
And
hit
maybe
October?
that's me. Yeah, I'm past October. I'm in November.
Okay.
And like
Okay.
the big moments in October and November, like I got to like the end of November where another major scene happened, and I'm still like, yeah, it's good. There's
Yeah.
good moments, but it hasn't. I don't know. Like I think it really just comes down to the cast for me, where I don't connect with these characters nearly as much. And like I'm not even saying like in comparison to 4 and 5. I'm just saying in general, this cast of characters isn't my favorite. This is not a cast I think about a lot. If I did connect with them, these moments would hit a lot harder for me, but they just don't because of that. And granted, I say all that combat is still fucking awesome. I love
It's
Persona
great combat.
combat. And I love the social links. A lot of the social links, I think they're very strong. I do think some of them it is weird where a lot of the early social links are like, man, you're pretty cool, dude. It's like, thanks, man. And that's the whole social link. It's like, okay, well. But even
Let's
then,
go
like,
get some
there's a
ramen.
lot of, yeah, exactly. And there's some good stories there, but overall, I'm gonna beat the game probably by the next episode. I'm very interested to see where it goes from here.
I hope I do.
Beef, you love Persona 3. You said it's like your
Yeah.
favorite game.
This is my number one of all time. I will
Oh,
say,
okay. You're probably
no,
mad at me right now.
no, I don't care. That's complete fine. I mean, I didn't think it wasn't my number one immediately when I beat it. Like I took time to like afterwards to like keep. It was always in my mind, and I took time. So I'm complete fine with people being like, oh, I don't like as much as this because I think it's always hard to go back to an earlier game. That's one
Yeah,
of the
that's
things I
the
like.
thing is it still has a lot of that old game stank
Yeah.
to it in regarding to characters, story, pacing, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Two things. One, I think that's why like this remake is weird because it's like I could be snobby about like, oh, this is how it's not exactly a perfect remake, but I'm like, no, I'm not because it is a game I love. But I think the most important thing is I think the best thing about this remake is I can tell someone like, oh, start with 3, then go to 4, then go to 5, and you'll like see like the progression instead of like, because I would always say 3 is my favorite, but start with 5. But you should start with 5 because going back to 3 is old, but sucks because you'll go back to 3 and then you'll probably be like, I don't like this as much. So that's kind of nice now. Like I think a lot of people will be able to play them in order and appreciate it because it is different. It's and it's not gonna be for everyone. The characters are like different. The storytelling is very different, and I think yeah, it starts off pretty slow compared to the other ones because like it's a lot of setup and the big like what's actually the story is like it takes a while to like really get to story beats constantly. But yeah, this is what I think we're playing to like do a bigger talk about it later. But yeah, I'm been playing a lot. I taking my time with it, but I'm starting to ramp up and try and get it done, and I still love it. It's even more clear to me now why I love it. Like especially like in like those themes about this is the one game where I can be like, oh, I need to write like a lit crit paper about this game and talk about the themes. Because every other game I'll be like, oh, talk about the gameplay and stuff. But this game I'm like, I need to get in depth on it. So I obviously recommend it to everyone. Like, if you have Game Pass, definitely check it out. If you don't, still buy it. It's like 70. Well, I think everyone else is like being it much faster than me. It's probably gonna take me 70 hours to beat it, but
Yeah, I'm about to hit
and
70.
luckily it's luckily probably the shortest still with with the
It
remake.
is crazy that the shortest game of the franchise is 70 hours.
Yeah, I think that like for me, I think yeah, some people can probably be in like 60, but I'm also being so meticulous about it, and I need to stop. I do just want to beat it, but yeah, it's still a long game. But luckily, comparatively, 70 hours. I mean, compared to a lot of the RPGs now, 70 hours is fine. Like I'm here, Infinite Wealth people are hitting like 100+ hours, so at least.
110 when I beat it.
Oh my god,
So,
that's another game I want to play, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I gotta get to
I'm
that at
so
some point.
terrified.
It might be my game of the year contender.
Yeah.
it better
It will
be.
be.
We needed you to fight for it at Sony's.
Right now, from the games we know, it's probably either that or Metaphor, depending on how Metaphor hits.
Oh, dude, I can't. Well, that's if Metaphor hits this year.
It'll hit this year.
I keep scaring Bench whenever I say that. I'm just like, I don't know. I will see. We'll see. I'm very excited for that though. But yeah, Beef, I'm genuinely curious. Beef, as a remake, is this like exactly what you want as a remake? Like, oh yeah, this is how
Oh,
I
I didn't
remake
really
this
get
game.
into. I did kind of skip over that. I mean, no, because there is like the weird things, like some of the, especially like you said, some of the earlier ones, like why did start? I think I said especially Dark. I was like, oh my god, I forgot the introductory social link is Kenji, and it's like, I'm kind of okay with them because I'm at this point like this,
He's
and especially
fine.
I'm like this
He's
is
a
just like
weirdo, but he's a weirdo you
he's
like.
weird, but that's kind of why I'm like, you're such a dumbass. That and to me, it's like I'm like, you're such a dumbass, and that's why it's fine. But it's like, especially if it's your first time playing, and you learn like, and if you look at a guide, you're supposed to like encourage him, like, yeah, that teaches into you, and you think about it like seriously, you're like, what the fuck is this game? But yeah, like stuff like that, where I'm like, we could have, maybe just I don't know, like open up Yukari or like actual team members early. So like yeah, the
That's
first
my
intro.
problem. I cannot. Like, they don't let you bond with them because like I wasn't able to bond with Mitsuru, but then I actually started a social link. It's like, dude, this character is awesome, but you don't start
Yeah.
until November.
Yep.
It's crazy.
I think I'm like in the weird spot where it's like, yeah, I played this game multiple times. I played the spin-off, so I know these characters. So it's like harder to talk about, but like, yeah, I think there's like some subtle ways. But again, like I don't blame anyone for being like, I don't know these characters. I think you may develop, especially if you see them more and like think about them more, like develop more like understanding, and we can talk about it later. But
Yeah, because
I
like I'm in
don't blame
January
people
right
for
now.
being, yeah, good.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm in January now, and I do like all these people now. I do feel like I know them, but it took so long. It's just so much slower because I felt like this with the 4 and 5 cast by like the typical like summer vacation kind of part of the story, whereas I didn't for this cruise. It's like it took until like November, December of this game for me to feel like, yeah, we are a group of friends and whatnot.
It felt like we were coworkers for most of the game.
Which,
I was like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I see him on weekends, I guess.
so that's why, like, I think the game, that's why I'm like, this is probably the best one to play first, because 4 and 5, I think, I'm like always a little between, like, it's better to, like, introduce these characters, like, with, like, the relay dungeon, and you meet them, and it's all about them, and, like, you instantly know so much about them, whereas in this, like, I think Akahiko's, like, the best one. He is, like, a meathead for, like, 70% of the game, and like you just
Yeah.
know him as like a meathead, like stoic meathead, and it's not until like 7th game where you see him like just break, and it's like to me it means like a lot. Like he is like you don't see much about him except for his relationship with like one other character, and then like he just like goes through some stuff, and he's like actually sad, and it means something. But again, like that's why it's a little different than what's like the some way you introduce the characters and then like talk to them a lot and they're introduced to everyone. So that's why it's like that's I understand why they go with 4 and 5, and it probably is better, but it's why 3 like stands out the most because it's like Just a lot. That's what I mean. It's different, and I'm fine with people being like, I don't like it. It's different. I'm used to 4 and 5.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I like it. I mean, I put 45
Mhm.
hours in a week
Oh
on
yeah,
one game. That's
I'm
clear. I
glad.
enjoy the game a lot.
I've seen a
I'm
lot
not
of
a big
people.
fan.
I've seen a
Oh, go
lot of
ahead.
people
Sorry.
being like, yeah, I really like this. Like, I understand why people like it. I'm like, I always felt like before this, I'm like, picking 3, it makes me the weird one. And a lot of people are
No,
like, no, 3. They like, or saying like some things like 3 is. So I'm glad
there-
at least people like enjoying it.
there's a lot more Persona 3 fans than I think you'd expect. Like a lot of people love P3 the most, P4.
Mhm.
Me and Moon on the right side of history with P5. Kidding.
How dare you?
You know
I'm
what's
kidding.
really weird? I just don't know if it's just the people I follow, but the past couple days there's been like a resurgence of Persona 5 hate and be like, it actually isn't that great. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I think it's just the cycle.
They're
I like
weirdos.
5. 5 is great.
I love 5, man.
5 is
It's
so
just
damn good.
weirdos.
Yeah. I
um,
I think people are just like always trying to compare games and like it's like they're all different, but like and there's things I like about them all differently. Like I already said, like I think maybe like four might be like have the best balance of everything, and which is now weird because it's the old like probably the jankiest one being without a remake, but like yeah, that's why I think it's. I'm glad to see 3 being remade, but no, I don't need to be like nah, 5 is crap compared to this.
I want a 4 remake so badly. No,
I
I'm
think
like,
we're gonna get
do
one.
4
like-
with the style of this. Oof, that's good.
With like their updated models. Like it is crazy to like the models between Persona 5 and now Reload. Like they have
Yeah.
they have updated their model team like a lot. It's so good now.
And the
Can
lighting,
we get a
yeah.
5 remake? Can we like have that?
I'll be there day one.
Yeah, no. Listen, we're already trapped. We're gonna keep buying these things. But yeah, that's a
Best part,
Persona update. Oh, go ahead.
best,
Beef.
the best part, I would now probably from now on first recommend P3 Reload, and then it's gonna be hard to recommend 4, but I'll recommend 4 and then 5. So yes, I can finally fix my character. I cannot recommend P5 first. I'm sure you still will, but that it's fine.
I think 5 to me is still the one I recommend because it's just like it starts off very strong.
They
That
My
is
they kind
problem,
of perfected everything.
yeah, because my problem with 3, like again, I like the game a lot, but it doesn't start off on the best foot. I feel like it's one of those like, and Fusion was talking about this. It's like he doesn't like. I say he's right here. Fusion doesn't like the whole like 20 hours in and it gets good type deal. And I feel like this game, like if you enjoy the combat loop, if you enjoy that, like you won't have that issue if you enjoy social links and whatnot. But it's kind of a harder sell to someone brand new. It's like, okay, I need to get used to like this whole
Yeah,
rhythm, and I
yeah.
feel like it's a much better rhythm to jump into 5. Granted, I might be biased. Who knows?
You know, I was
Yes.
thinking this the other day. I was thinking, I wonder if Persona 3 is like the progenitor of the whole "it gets good 40 hours in" meme. It's like,
Oh,
was this the
trust me.
first game to be like related to that?
There was some JRPGs on PS1 where that was the case. I remember exactly that whole conversation. Beef, you had 2 other games. Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah. Moon, you're talking about pennies, but Gregory, this can be great segue. Talking about how, and I'm sitting here talking about fucking how Donkey Kong 64. Everyone in the Discord is like, "Why are you playing this?" And I didn't have a good reason.
It's like I wanted Monkey.
And no, and when like I beat it literally the day before the direct, and when the direct airs, and there's like they're like we're gonna bring a bunch of rare games, I'm like, you're kidding me. What kind of power do I
Fucking
have?
profit.
What kind of I was like, how the hell did this happen? But no, I think I've talked to Wolf, maybe it is you, I've talked about 3K64 of like, this is the weird game that even as a kid, I never beat. Even as a kid, I was like, this isn't very good.
It's like there's like 500,000 fucking bananas to collect. It's so ridiculous.
Like, even as a kid, like, I've probably played this game 4 or 5 times. I barely made it to the second level. And now I've beaten it and enjoyed it, and it's like, why? And granted, I might be in a good mood with like Persona 3, but it's actually not bad, except for A, the camera is really bad. like weirdly like worse than Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. I don't know how it's this bad. It kept glitching. It was awful. And two, it's not just as many collectibles as Wolf says. They specifically were like put where like you walk to an area and they're like, all right, this there's like 3 bananas here for this character, a balloon for this other character, and like the gold banana is the big thing you have to get. So you have to go get 3 Kongs. Oh, and the bail to switch out is like half a mile away. And I'm like, I do not want to keep walking back and forth to get all this shit. So that's why people are like this is tedious and boring. But I know Blessing from Kind Point also loves it. It's a weirdly addicting to just keep walking around and go do it. And plus, you got Chunky Kong and Lanky Kong. Like, I don't see what people's problem is with, playing as these characters. They're the best. So,
They appear in this game and then never again. Like they're just
Which is
these
so-
weird distant relatives.
which is so weird. Like, it's like, and like, yeah, you introduce them with this game is like a fever dream actually, and then you think about like the DK rap and Cranky Kong's like an a-hole the whole game, and Funky Kong's in here, but it's not like Surfer Dude Funky Kong. He's like owns like a military shop, so you're like, this is a fever dream. And yeah, I kind of want like them to put on NSO to make other people play it, but I thought, well, and now there's like rumors, people like, are they remastering it? And I'm like, oh my god, if I have to replay this again. But yeah, so anyways, so
You don't have to. No one's forcing you to replay it if they remaster it.
this has become a weird like personality trait. Like everyone was like talking to me in the Discord, like, how's DK64 going? And I'm like, I can't say anything. I mean, I could say anything bad about it, but I have to defend this game now. It's actually not bad. It took me 6 attempts, but I've beaten it. I don't know why. But so yeah, to finish off, whenever it comes down to everyone, we're all gonna play it together. I'm gonna get these boys to play it together. It's gonna be great. We're gonna talk about our favorite Kongs. It's just gonna be a great time. And they're
We're
just gonna
not
be
doing a
agree.
food coma on this game.
Why
I
not?
want to put. We are not. I
the
refuse
games I'm
it.
playing through, I'll do a food coma with you.
Actually, that
That's
sounds kind of
okay.
funny.
It's not even that
Why
long.
is-
I'd be in 18 hours, yeah, which is even longer than like the best like
3D
a Mario
platformers
Odyssey.
take like 10 hours.
I
This
know,
is ridiculous.
Which is even worse when going in. I'm like, people are like, oh yeah, that's a 30-hour game. I'm like, why on God's green earth is this a 30-hour game? I beat an 18. They were really trying to make like the ultimate rare game, and they like just did not at all.
It's what happened with Banjo Tooie. They had this weird thing where it's like, oh, they had this thing where it's like, oh man, we made a really good first thing. Now we're making the sequel, and it's gonna be bigger and bigger. It's like, no, the reason it was good because it was condensed and tight and clean. If you keep making it bigger, then you have a Banjo Tooie where the environments are like 5 miles long.
Well, I didn't
I'm
know
very
this.
passionate about Rareware and 64 games, as you can tell.
I didn't know this. Apparently, DK64 came between them. I did not know that. So apparently, Banjo 2 was them pulling back from DK64,
That's
which is so
insane.
horrendous to think about.
Just
Yeah.
to say, on how long to beat, Donkey Kong 64 is listed as 26 and a half hours for the main story.
Yeah, I'd be an 18. I didn't even look anything up.
You're a speedrunner, Beef. What the hell?
Look, I used to hate platformers, which is the other weird thing. Is like I'm like the guys like I don't even like 3D platformers that much, and now I'm over here like, actually, let me explain to you why. I did watch their videos, the Blessing and it playing it. Maybe that also helps if everyone's like, yeah, this is a good game. We're gonna ignore every problem. This is a great game. So yes, I finally got it out there. I'm
I am
finally
the 3D.
move on. I can move on
I-
from this game.
It kind of bothers me because it's like I'm the 3D platformer fanboy, and even I'm like not into that game. So the fact that you're over here, like, oh man,
Dude, it's
I mean,
so
I wanna-
weird. It's
I've only
so
played
weird.
a little bit of it though.
It's so weird. Like I said, there was nothing more condemning than as a kid, especially like in the '90s and early 2000s. You get a platformer to play as like apes and like a 3D game like you barely got those, and even then you still would be like, this isn't very good, and would keep playing it more than like an hour. That's how you know it wasn't a good game.
And then you also played Belatro. I really need to hear about this game
All
because
right, I gotta do all the talking.
yeah. No, I mean like it's what you're
I
playing.
can
You put
go.
it down.
Let's finish it. So here, yeah, we didn't do the review roundup because I get to review this. I'm taking over. It's
Oh wow. Okay.
it is a so first it is so super hard to explain. And I'm actually kind of salty because I learned today they took off the demo for the eShop, not the eShop from Steam, which sold me on the game. But yes, Belatro. For everyone who doesn't know, this is the game that these guys got pissed at me about because I picked in the Fantasy Critic and got 92, and they were like, "What kind of psychic powers do you have?" And the truth is, yeah, like I played the Steam Next Fest demo, and it's insanely good. It's just a roguelike. Like everyone's like kind of talking about like, oh, it's all about poke. It's like they made poker into it. It's like poker's not really the main point. It's kind of like just to like make it familiar to people, like everyone who knows like poker hands. But really, it's all about like, yeah, you score points by playing these cards, and then you get jokers up on the top to like make just to combine like different multipliers, different points, just to keep racking up scores. Yeah, I think it's kind of like Vampire Survivors, where it's very simple, but like just the presentation just sells people on it, and then it gets super addicting, and then you end up like me yesterday, where like with these cards of 10 points, 9 points, like a deck of cards, I got one hand to score 6 million points, and then I'm like, I'm never gonna get that high again this year because I just had so many multipliers, so many points to get like a 6,000 multiplier for like 1,000 points, and I scored 6 million. So yeah, it's super hard to explain. I think if you can watch people play, speaking of kind of funny, I was watching a Snowbike Mike play, and he was really enjoying it, which is weird because I love Mike. I think we all know. If you know Mike,
He's
not
a
the
fellow.
he's a fella. He's not the brightest tool. But even he's over here like looking with like I need a calculator. I need to do all this math. And I think that's the other thing about it. It makes you feel really smart when you like crack the code and figure out how to like rack up these huge points by playing like different card types, getting straights, getting flushes. So I think that's mostly what comes of it. You just keep learning and you just keep like getting better at it. I think that's also a big part of it.
I'm very, very interested in this one. This is only Steam, right?
No, it's actually everywhere now. The
Oh,
demo
sick.
was only the demo is only on Steam, but it's on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. I think they're gonna do a mobile port, which they should, because I think it's a great mobile game. But yeah, it's on everywhere right now for $15, I think, and I'd say it's worth it.
I'm very curious on this one. I'm
Yeah, I'd say.
I'm a fan of Texas Hold'em,
hmm
but like so you say it's not actually like poker rules
Well,
and
but like that
traditional.
helps. Well, that does help because like you want to do, you get more points for a flush, get more points for a straight flush, get points for a straight two pair. But like you'll see like people like figure out like okay, I can get hundreds of thousands off like a three of a kind because it's like there's some jokers with like hey, if you play three cards or less, you're gonna get 20 times the multiplier, and that's what Mike was doing. He was like, oh, how can I get big points just off playing three cards? So there's definitely a lot of ways to do it, and that's the other fun thing is like you can build so many types of decks, and it's just a standard deck, 52 cards, but like just there's so many combinations. So I think I think you have to like watch someone do it. That I think will say the most, but I definitely would recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, this one I want to check out for sure. But probably by the end of the year at the very least for Game of the Year, Sagis. Well, if that's everything you're playing, Moon, you had Penny's Big Breakaway outside of Persona. I know you're not big on platformers, and from what I'm hearing, this still ain't scratching your itch.
No, and I was talking about it with Bob last night too, who also wasn't into it. It's just a fundamentally broken game. Like even just ignoring the typical 3D platformer stuff that I don't like, it's just also it doesn't function well. Like the biggest thing was, at least from trailers, it looked like a very fast-paced game where you're always on the move. and so it's like felt like Sonic in a way, which made sense because it came from a Sonic team, but it's so slow. And not only that, but it doesn't encourage you to go to actually like speed through the level in some ways. It's like every other 3D platform. It's like, okay, here's this big open area. Go collect all the coins, and that's really all there is to it. And I'm just
Oh,
like,
you got me in. Wait, collecting coins.
And
That's
I'm
some
just
Donkey
like-
Kong 64 thing. Beef, you might be in on this.
and then I've crashed the game like 3 times now, and I'm only on the 3rd world, so at least 1 crash per world.
You're past the
Because-
first hour, right?
What's that?
You're past the first hour because I heard it gets good apparently after the first hour. That's
I
kind of like
think I am. I'm on the 3rd world, which I'm guessing is about an hour or so in. But yeah, like I'm 2 boss fights past, and last boss fight I just did was absolute ass. That's where something happened where, because it's a level where you're gliding across the water and then you crash into the boat to do another round with the boss. But my character kept going, crashed into the boat, and then it glitched, and then she just flew off into the sky. Did that video game thing where it just kind of levitated into the infinite skybox. I'm like, great. I took a clip of it and I'll post it later.
That's funny actually. It's interesting. I'm seeing like differing viewpoints because like I see a lot of people who are like, I'm not into it, and then I see a lot of people who are like, oh, this is great. I think it really just depends on how much you like platformers. It's that type of deal.
It's not
and I
only
don't think this
that,
is
like it could be
convincing
good,
you.
but the problem is, so the little yo-yo dash where you're riding on the yo-yo, you have like no momentum unless you're on an absolute hill. You're not moving with that thing. You'll slow down to a snail crawl. And I don't know if you saw my clips from last night where I was running away from a ball boss enemy. You just come to a screeching halt because there's no hills for you to ride on. So I'm just like, okay, you want me to run away, but you're just gonna have me walk speed run away from this thing? It's like, no, do Sonic where I'm like going around at the speed of sound, and I want to be rolling past all these obstacles, but I just can't. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, like I was holding down brake or something, or I don't know. And then there's the other thing of the button formation. It just feels very wrong. Like,
Is
so
there
you
no
put-
remapping?
like, no, because
uh,
you can't do certain functions. Like the biggest one for me is, okay, if you go into the animation of you rolling on your yo-yo, a lot of the times you're gonna want to hit square to do your little attack to, I don't know, break open a canister to get some more coins or grab the zip line or whatever the next part you have to do. You can't do that. You have to jump out of your rolling animation first, which is really annoying, and especially like in that like I said, the ball boss enemy where you're constantly running away from this ball that's coming after you. It's like, okay, I'm trying to run away. I'm rolling on my yo-yo. Oh, I have to grab the hammer item so I can break the wall so I can keep going. So no, I roll up, and you have to know it's coming because I don't know how anyone does this on like a first playthrough because you don't know what's coming up. So you have to stop in your tracks, jump off your yo-yo, then grab the item, then use the hammer item to break the wall. It's like, no, this should be like one swift motion of I'm rolling in, press square, grab the item, boom, go and keep going through the wall. It's like, no, you come to an immediate stop because you have to get off your yo-yo, and you're doing this while a ball is right on you. I'll post the clips again so you can see what I mean. And then the other problem is, yeah, you have your yo-yo attack pushing square to break canisters or whatever. The other problem is you double tap square to do a dash attack. And I can't tell you how many times I've fallen off a platform just because I was trying to break a canister. It's like, oh, I missed that. Gonna press that square again too, so I could try to hit this canister. I just flew right off the map.
So there's no way to remap the controls at all.
I don't think so. I haven't looked, but I would hope so
Might be worth
because
checking out.
every button in the game is like duplicated. Like your attack and your dash is on square, but it's also on R2, and getting on your yo-yo is L2, but also on circle. So it's like, I guess they're trying to accommodate for like whichever feels more natural to you. But it just, the dash attack should have been a different button, and maybe there is a remap option. I'll have to look.
Yeah, I think it would be worth checking out. Maybe that.
And
help
it's
out.
my typical 3D platformer problem. I don't know if I have depth perception problems, but whenever there's a floating platform being carried by like a helicopter or whatever, I can't seem to always land on those. Like I'll do my little swing and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna land it. I just completely miss it.
The Crash 4 did something really cool with people that have problems with that. You have a yellow
Yeah,
circle.
this little
that tells-
circle, yeah. And that's
Yeah, so
non-existent here.
I hope in the future more 3D platforms can do that, because I played these games my whole life, so it doesn't bother me at all. But I know for a lot of people who have depth perception issues, that always seems to be a hang up.
And there was also like one thing, it was like a teeter-totter thing. You had to like stand on one end so it raises so you can get to the other end. So for some reason they decided, yeah, here's your little teeter-totter, and then there's the background because I'm moving like sideways from right to left, going upward. But there's like a little gap between the teeter-totter and the background, and I fell right through that. It's like you don't even know that that little gap is right there. And it's just super annoying. What was the other thing I just did? I was so stupid. Oh, you cannot jump. So if you're like you're riding on your yo-yo and you're going fast, and then all of a sudden you have to do a jump, you would assume you do a jump and you just continue going on your yo-yo. No, you don't. You jump out of the animation and you have to do the button again to get back into the yo-yo. But if you do that, you lose all your momentum if you had any, and so you just come to a screeching halt. Which was really annoying in this boss fight I had to do because half the boss fight is you riding on your yo-yo across the water, dodging missiles. And like I'm trying to dodge these missiles, and my natural instinct in these kind of games is to jump over them. But I jump over them and then I just end up drowning because I didn't get right back on the yo-yo. So it's just a
Interesting.
lot of the technical decisions of how the game plays is just seems very bad. Not to mention it's buggy as hell.
Yeah, I'm surprised they shadow dropped it if it is buggy. It's like, okay, well, you could have waited a month or two. Like, this is a weird time to release it, personally.
Yeah, it's a weird time. And I thought like a game like this would want a little bit of build up to like, okay, it's gonna come,
Exactly.
in a month or whatever. But like, no, let's shadow drop it.
It just doesn't make sense. I'm interested in checking it out. I did buy the game because, I mean, this is my favorite genre. I don't know.
It has a lot of charm to it because it has a lot of those very old platformer character, mascot platformer character things
Yeah,
where
yes.
no one's talking. They all talk in a gibberish language. The characters are cute.
Oh.
The world is vibrant, and the animations are very simple. Like you can see the character models move from one pose to the other. It's not a fluid animation like at all. It's just like here's one pose, and now here's another pose. It's like there's like no movement between each pose. It's kind of funny to like they're going for this real retro feel. The only thing that feels slightly good is your swing, and I'm like that does feel good, but the problem is the way you're jumping around. I miss half the stuff, and it's just a simple swing. I don't know. It's hard to describe without you actually playing it.
Yeah, I'll most likely check it out by next week.
It's really the
So-
momentum thing. Like I was promised a fast-paced game, and it's just not. But
Very good.
as I was playing earlier today, I was actually playing earlier during the podcast while you were all talking about Elden Ring. And I retooled my brain a little bit, thought of it more as a regular 3D platformer where I was walking more than anything else. And I'm like, okay, this is slightly better.
It seems like it's just bad marketing, saying
Bad
like it's the Sonic
marketing.
Mania team, and it's not really a Sonic game.
And all the trailers you see him zipping around on this yo-yo really fast. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to be zipping past everything. Mm-mm. You'll get some when you're actually on a hill and you do a little ramp move. That's about it.
Curious. I'm excited. to check it out.
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead,
check it out. I'm probably still gonna check it out, especially. I feel like it's
Yeah.
impossible for me to dislike it after Donkey Kong 64.
Wait for my opinion.
Yeah, for
Okay.
$30, it's not a terrible purchase if you're into this kind of stuff, and that's why I'm not too mad at it. And Bob did refund it on Steam
Well-
because Steam has that option, but I got it on PlayStation, so I can't do that. But for $30, I can't be too mad at it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to check. We'll have to check it out. It is. I have high hopes for it just because we don't get 3D platformers a lot. I mean,
Exactly. That's
like,
why I was excited.
almost
This is such a
ever.
rare genre.
Yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, I almost feel like I have to like it because I played some God. I've played the one everyone dislikes. Oh, Wolf, have I mentioned I've never even worse? I've beat DK4. I've never beat Mario 64.
Oh yeah, you're a
That's-
bad person for that.
That's like my gamer shame is like I've played it and that's the other one. Like I was like I've never beat it.
Man, that's my favorite 3D platformer.
I'll
Okay.
beat it. I'll beat it someday.
It's a short game. If you
I
just
know.
like Beef, actually I'm not gonna give you too much shit. I didn't beat Mario 64 until the 3D All Stars. I always like
Alright.
played it all the time as a kid, but I never actually beat it until then. We will see.
So yeah, I just posted the clip of me doing the boss fight, and I broke the game.
That is
Okay.
a loud ass clip. Hang on. That is wow. This looks different than I expected it to. Oh, because this is like kind of like the Sonic bonus levels. I'll check that out. Fusion. What have you been playing?
The Helldivers 2 menu, bro.
How's that menu been looking?
Yeah, I got gifted Helldivers 2, and I was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna play this game. But it just doesn't work for me right now. Like I've tried everything. Like there's just certain graphics cards right now. PC problem, I guess. I don't know. I guess you can hate on me for having it on PC, but yeah, there's just certain. First, it was all the queues, and you would wait for like 45 minutes to sit in a queue. Then you would get a black screen, and then like all these server issues. We're like past that now. They've like done well enough to patch it up. I still can't play the game once I'm in it. My game just immediately crashes. So like I just stopped. I think I have like 4.5 hours on menus. like it's just me sitting on menus. So I haven't actually been playing that, but I've been looking at it. But I did start and beat The Wolf Among Us 2. No, not 2. The Wolf Among Us.
Oh, you beat it?
Yeah, I beat The Wolf Among Us.
When did you beat this?
Last
Like, I
night.
swear. What, I swear the last few nights, whenever I see you on, you're playing like Rainbow Six or something.
I don't know.
Or
I beat it last night,
Helldivers
bro.
2.
I think you were in the Discord last night when I announced it, because then I brought up Uncharted. But anyways.
No, I definitely wasn't there.
But yeah, I beat that game. That game is awesome. That is, I've only played 2 Telltale games, which is The Walking Dead and now this one, and this is my favorite. Like of the 2, the only thing The Walking Dead has on it is that Walking Dead has finished. Like it actually has 4 seasons, and Wolf Among Us only has this 1 season. But very excited for The Wolf Among Us 2 when actually it comes out. Because after I rolled credits, like I immediately went to like the reveal trailers and watched people's reactions to like the second one being announced and stuff. And I'm just fully into like the Fabled universe and stuff. Because I didn't like read the comics or know anything about the comics. Like I'm pretty sure it was Dark that was messing me about the comics. I already forget, but I'm pretty sure it was
You
Dark.
ignored him.
No, I responded. I just forget who it was. I'm pretty sure it was him.
Dark,
If
was
it's
it you?
anything DC related, it had to have been him.
Dark
He's-
already left, guys.
Yeah,
he's
he's in
asleep.
the dark, you could say. Well, yeah. So did
Fusion,
that?
I'm not gonna let you
What?
get away with that joke. That was not a good joke.
It
We
was
gotta
good, it was
talk
good, it
about
was
that.
good. It was good.
Have we continue, sir?
Have you played The Wolf Among Us?
I have not. I'm not. You
Oh,
know
dude.
these type of games don't
Oh
appeal to
yeah,
me.
I guess yeah. But it's good, man. It's real good.
I watched a playthrough of episode 1 and I really did enjoy it. It's a very cool aesthetic. I'm such a sucker for that aesthetic. It really is just like those type of games just don't appeal to me because it's like, okay, I'm not really doing much. It's very much an
Yeah, I
adventure
feel
game.
that. Yeah, it's
But
very much just
I
making
respect it.
choices.
I like those games exist for the people that enjoy them. So I wouldn't say like stop making those games.
For sure, yeah. I love them. They're in the same vein of like Life is Strange, and like I'm a sucker for them. But then, so I beat that last night, and I was like, I got off work today, and I was like, I could probably play something before the podcast, like just start a game. And then I scrolled through my like backlog, and I was like, oh, Pony Island. I forgot I bought Pony Island like a few months ago.
I'm really curious about this one.
Which is Daniel Mullen's first game, the guy behind Inscription. I didn't realize he made The Hex, which is, I guess, his second game that I didn't know existed till today. When I went to like his Twitter and everything, I was just looking at his stuff. Like, apparently The Hex is like a game he made that I'll probably have to play. But yeah, this game, I just sat down today, beat it in 3 hours, just one sitting, and it was an experience. Like, you haven't played Inscription yet, have you?
Wait, Fusion. You played
Well,
a game
I know.
in a one sitting?
Okay.
A game that you had time to play a game in one sitting?
Listen,
Interesting.
Listen, I know Limbo was right there. Not Limbo. Inside was right there, but I didn't think I was gonna beat this game in one
Isn't it
sitting. It just
crazy?
happened.
I've always I give Fusion all these recommendations of games that I think he would enjoy, and he's like, Pony Island. That's the strat.
No, I really thought I was like, oh, because
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
right now my weekends the NFL has ended, and it doesn't matter because it seems like on the weekends, like you said, you've been seeing me on Siege a lot. My weekend now has just been all multiplayer games with my friends. So like I was like, oh, what's a small indie I can play between when I'm playing with my friends? I was like, oh, Pony Island, and then I ended up just beating it really fast. So like I wasn't planning on actually sitting down and just beating the game before the podcast. I was just gonna start it and then we like talk about it on the podcast. But I did beat it, and it was really cool. I do recommend it to like everyone here. I don't know if everyone would like it, but I think it's short enough that there's certain sequences in the game that like it's 3 hours. Like I feel like you can sit yourself down for 3 hours and play and really enjoy these specific sequences, even if you don't like everything else. I feel like you would still get something out of it.
Yeah, but it's very meta from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Is it like the annoying like meta, like they try to make this humor and it doesn't really land, or is it like meta, like it's actually really fucking with like your perception of how a video game is played, and it's like
Your
you-
perception.
your perception. Okay,
Yeah,
that
you're like full like I don't want to tell you, it's one of those games like the same thing where we told you about Inscription where we just can't tell you anything. Like it's that type of game where like I don't want to tell you anything about this game, so if you play it one day you just fully go in and you're like, you know, you just have no idea what it is. It's like 99 cents. Like it's a very cheap video game. Like,
yeah. I mean, like it's like if someone was trying to do that with a $60 game, it's like what? No, but like
Yeah.
this is $1, so whatever.
Yeah, it's a very cheap and short video game. And I think like because the only reason because I really like Inscription, and then he announced Pony Island 2 at the Game Awards this last December. So I was like, oh,
gotta play Pony
yeah, I
Island.
was like, well, now I gotta play Pony Island just to see what he was cooking. It was his first project, and like it really was like, it's not even close for me and like the way of I like Inscription, but like I said, for a 3 hour game experience, like it was a good time.
Interesting. That is one I definitely want to check out if it's 3 hours. I just
Yeah,
don't know
it's
what to play it on.
It's 3 hours. You have to play. It's only on Steam, I think. You have to play with a mouse. It's like the entire game. I'll tell you this: the entire game is the only time I was touching my keyboard was to type. So I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Everything is like it's a unique game. Like I'm doing everything. You're doing everything with the mouse, and then there's times where you're typing certain things with the keyboard. But other than that, yeah, like it even says when you load up on Steam, like does not recommend controller, blah blah blah.
Interesting. I'm very excited to check that out. Yeah, that's one I want to check out for absolute certain. If it's 3 hours, then yeah.
Yeah, you should, and maybe a little teaser. I'm not gonna promise you, but I will truly try to play Wolfenstein this week.
Listen, that's fine, man. You can again. I don't like forcing people to play with.
But it's like
just play what you want.
right now I'm between that and Undertale.
Dude, that's a W for me either way because I love both those games. I'm just curious. You're choosing go chronologically. You're going with Old Blood first, which is like,
yeah.
Huh. That's not. I mean, like, hey, do what you want. Old Blood's the only one I haven't played.
And I look because Old Blood came out in 2016, and what's the first one called? New Order.
The New Order. That was 2014.
Yeah, and that came out in 2014. So I'm like, it probably isn't like like gameplay wise. It's not like it shouldn't hinder my gaming like to just go back 2 years. You know what I mean? To start with a 2016 game, and then go back to a 2014 game real quick with the New Order. I doubt like the gameplay drastically changed in those 2 years where like it would affect it. So I just think, just like with the Batman, if I've waited this long to play the series, why not just play in timeline order?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you'd be starting with Arkham Origins first.
Yeah, I know.
Just start with Asylum. I don't like playing games in timeline order. It's the argument with like Metal Gear, where it's like play Metal Gear Solid 3 first, and it's like no, because like you miss a lot of callbacks to 1 and 2 then, because the way that these games came out, I like just playing them in release order because it's like this is the way that the developers made them.
Yeah, there's definitely arguments for both. I'm not weirdo who does like timeline order stuff. That's only
Yeah, change their own.
Yeah, like, and I feel like for Batman, it's definitely more case by case scenario compared to like I feel like with Wolfenstein, I'll be very okay with doing it like just timeline hit whatever Old Blood, whatever it's called first, and then do the New Order, and then after that it's release order anyways.
Interesting. I'm excited for you to get to New Colossus whenever you do get to that.
Is
That's the game.
Youngblood the newest? Because I have that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
too.
No, don't do that.
I think I have to. Is that the one with the
No,
twins or
it's
something?
so
The girls? Or
yes,
is that...
yes. It's the latest one at the time. It's fucking awful. It is so bad. They tried to make it like an RPG, even though Wolfenstein is not an RPG. It's a goddamn FPS game, and it is like I cannot explain to you how bad it is in just the writing, where it took a massive step down, where it tried to be all quirky and funny, and these two characters fucking suck and they're not interesting, nowhere near the level of BJ Blazkowicz. And just the actual like fucking RPG systems are so half baked that you're kind of just shooting at bullet sponge a lot of the time. It is not a good game.
Was that the one made by Arcane?
Yes, that was a co-developed by Arcane. It's Arcane Austin, which man, after that they did Redfall. It's like,
not the good
oof.
Arcane.
Yeah.
That's just tough for
Yikes.
that studio.
God bless them. But yeah, that's everything that we. Dark, are you awake?
I'm not going into what I've been playing.
But could you comment on if it was you that talked about the Fable comics with me?
The Fable comics?
Yeah, when the Wolf Among Us.
No, that wasn't me.
Bro, I don't know who it was then.
Wait, hold your
I don't
name.
think it was me you talked about, but I want to read those.
I think it was Jat probably, because he loves Wolf Among Us.
Maybe, I don't know. Someone's lying.
Interesting. Well, Moon, if you want to handle our outros.
All right. So that was a long discussion and a slight depression detour about Pokemon next week, and we'll get to that next week. So hope you guys enjoyed. So I think that is just going to be wrapping everything up. I think, yeah, I thought I was going to have something extra to throw on here, but I guess I don't. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff, and we will see you guys on the next episode for the Pokemon Presents and whatever else the gaming industry decides to throw at us next week once Rebirth launches. Actually, we might just be playing Rebirth when the episode is going on. Who knows? Well, it's going to be a crazy week next week, so I hope you guys tune in for it. And say good night, everyone.
Good night. Play more
Good
indies.
night.
Play more indies.
Yeah, play more indies.